Good morning. This is Jovita Dominguez, and I am chair of the Education and Licensing. I was appointed by Governor Newsom, and we would like to do roll call. Jovita is present, and President Trujillo.
This is Dolores Trujillo. I am the current president of the BRN. I was appointed by Governor Newsom for the direct care provider role, and I am a member of the Education and Licensing Committee.
And Tricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, good morning, everyone. I was appointed by Governor Newsom in one of the public member roles, and I'm also a member of the Education and Licensing Committee.
And EO Lori Melby.
Thank you. I'm Lori Loretta Melby. I'm the board's executive officer appointed by the board.
And Reza Peshuhesh.
Good morning. This is Reza Peshuhesh, BRN Legal Counsel.
And Dr. McCarthy.
Good morning, Mary Ann McCarthy, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant and Liaison to the Education Licensing Committee.
So we've established roll call, and is there any public comment, BRN moderator?
Well, before we go to that,
sorry.
Jovita. Yep, thank you. And BRN moderator, so you know, we were able to see your screen pop up and was sharing. So on the agenda, it was noted by a public member that on instructions for participation, it had the day of the week as Wednesday. That was updated in red to say Thursday. All of the rest of the dates and times on the materials as well as the agenda were correct on April 17th as being it. And you can see that on page 1 and page 2. And then all of the materials reflect the date of April 17th as well. So I just wanted to call that to the attention, as well as the new format of the agenda. So we were asked by Department of Consumer Affairs to look at what we put out to the public and see that we can add it and change it to plain language. And so you will see that the agenda items, although the same as we've always covered, are worded a bit differently. And so an example would be, 5.4. where we would typically call this a substantive change that is in line with 1432. And some people may not know what a substantive change is or know to go to 1432 and look at that. And so it now says discussion and possible action regarding a request to grant initial approval of a new pre-licensure nursing program. So that way anybody from the public comes in and reads that and would be able to know what is being requested there when looking at the agenda minus materials, right? That's kind of the goal, is you can look at the agenda and kind of know what's going to be talked about if materials are not yet up. The other thing that we've done to the agenda is we have separated the request by region. And so you will see starting on 5.3, it identifies it as Region 10 Southern Border. Then you'll see Region 5 Central Coast and Region 8 Los Angeles. And then we did do an attempt to group the regions together, where you'll see 5.5 followed by 5.6 are both Region 1 in Sacramento. And so that should help. I know we tried to do that last ELC, but we had to rearrange the agenda to accomplish that. But we went ahead and set it up that way this time. So just a little kind of rundown quickly on that agenda. And I just want to make sure that our committee members, if they have any concerns or questions about that before we move forward. I don't see any coming up. Nope.
I don't either.
Okay. Great. And so you completed 1.0, Jovita, and we'll let you go to 2.0. Thank you.
So BRN moderator, could you take us to public comment for items not on the agenda? Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I get to do my welcome script?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry. Good morning. This is the BRN moderator. I will be moderating the meeting. To facilitate public comment, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer feature. When the committee reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, the question and answer feature will be turned on, and members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by inserting the phrase, "I would like to make a comment," in the question box, which is typically in the lower right of your screen. I will then call on the individual and unmute their microphone. The individual will have 2 minutes to make their comments. I will not give a warning as your time approaches. I will mute your microphone and will announce that your time has exceeded the time allotted. I will then proceed to the next member of the public who has a comment. We will also query our Sacramento location. Right now, there is no public representation there. Putting that out there. Please note that the question and answer feature is being used only as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. When your turn comes, you will be prompted to unmute. If your question can be answered, the committee will respond accordingly. When making your comment, please speak about anything you believe is important for the members to know. Remember, committee members cannot address any item not on the agenda. Items not on the agenda at that moment, items that you would like to be added to future meetings, or items that will be discussed later on in the agenda will be discussed in their correct times during the meeting. I will provide a brief reminder of this approach at the start of each public comment item. Finally, when committee members or BRN staff are not speaking, I would like to remind them to mute their microphone. If I detect background noise during the meeting as a result of unmuted microphones, I will mute your microphone automatically. Yay, now I will open up for public comment. We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment."
Okay, board
Reza, just for
moderator.
clarification,
Sorry.
this is item 2.0 on the Education Licensing Committee meetings agenda. So that's public comment for items not on the ELC agenda. Later on, we do have the Enforcement Investigations and Intervention Committee meeting, which will itself have a separate agenda item for public comment related to that committee's topic. Thanks. Sorry, Flora, you were going to say the same thing, then
I was actually
do
going
it
to say the
otherwise.
same thing. Yes. So I'm just going to say ditto. Thank you, Reza. Board moderator, if you're
Sorry.
speaking, we're not able to hear you.
No, sorry. Mitchell first would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Sorry.
Board moderator, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, members of the committee. Again, Mitchell, the president of the Marshburg School of Nursing. I just wanted to share with you this morning that, as you know, we brought our application for a new campus to the Citrus Heights, Sacramento area on 2 different occasions, and on both occasions, the application was deferred. And so, wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be moving the locale, the city of that application into a different area, because obviously we saw that it was, somewhat contentious. And so we have some different ideas of areas where the Marshburg School of Nursing can have a new campus and serve those communities with producing awesome new nurses. And when we submit that new application, or I should say that deferred application for the new locale, that we're going to be using a new methodology where we can, I think, more clearly demonstrate to the members of the committee about the clinical situation and assuring the members of the committee that there'll be absolutely no displacement or no thought of a displacement. So I just wanted to share that this morning. And I also wanted to thank the members of the committee for allowing us to defer the application so we don't have to start over. And so we're excited to bring that new application for a new locale as well as other requests in the very near future to this committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Paloma Serna would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
I am the mother of Elisa Serna, who died in November 11th, 2019 in Las Colinas Detention Facility in San Diego County. I'm also with the Saving Lives in Custody California and North County Equity and Justice Coalition. So I'm here to speak about the nurse Dana Lee Pasquale. She went to
Hang on, one moment, please. Is this a case that's a closed BRN
It is
case?
a closed case. It is. We went
Okay.
to trial last year in January.
I
Regarding.
just wanted to make sure it wasn't concerning like a new investigation or something. Go ahead and give her her full amount of time back. Sorry for the interruption.
Not a problem. Thank you. So she was charged last year along with a Dr. Frederic Von Lente. It was very difficult for the jurors to convict these two individuals since my daughter was in custody for 5 days, and a federal judge did make the videos public. So it shows multiple of nurses, a Dr. Carol Gilmore, and other nurses involved in her death. So it is surprisingly to know that Dana Lee Pasquale she still has her license to this day. You know, I've been checking the website and it shows that, you know, there's a flag, I guess, on her license, but I would like for you guys to please to continue to investigate and see what's going on with this individual. She should not be practicing nursing. There is a video in which you will see where she left my daughter to die. If you were to go to YouTube to Justice for Elisa Serna, you would see the video that was played in court where she stood over my daughter, never touching her again. She was not taking her vitals. So please take a look at that. I really do appreciate your time and letting me speak today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, but before you do that, I just want to reach out to Ms. Serna and my condolences. Sorry for your loss. Yes, BRN moderator, please end it. Thank you.
Real quick, Reza here. I just wanted to add, just simply for the record, I believe I chimed in and asked the commenter if that was a closed BRN case, and she said it was. It's, from what it looks like, an accusation was filed, and I don't see a final disposition on it, so I presume that it's still ongoing. I don't have all the details of that case at my fingertips or anything like that, and I don't think this is really the time or place necessarily to go into it, but the comment was received, and thank you for it. And second, the condolences as well. I'm sorry for your loss. With that, Jovita, I think you can go ahead. I just wanted to clarify for the record the status of that case.
Thank you, Reza. I believe BRN moderator, if there is no other comments, then yes, we can close this.
Thank you.
Vita, did you want to go on to 3.0 and review and vote on whether to approve the previous meeting minutes? Oh, we can't hear
sorry,
you.
I was muted.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
over there rambling on. So yes, let's start with 4.0. And would you lead us, Dr. McCarthy?
We're on agenda item 3.0, so we're reviewing and voting on whether to
Sorry.
approve. No,
I'm
it's okay.
jumping
I just,
ahead. Oh my
Can I
goodness.
just say one more thing? I'm so sorry. I don't want to hang on this, but the last thing we were talking about, the Pasqua matter, there's a hearing, it looks like, um, with the Office of Administrative Hearings scheduled next month. So this committee is not involved in enforcement or investigations or things like that. I myself am not, but again, just clearing the record. With that, I think we can go ahead. 3.1.
Thank you. So 3.0, review and vote on whether to approve previous minutes, and those were for January 22nd, 2025. Does any committee members have any questions on that? If not, I'd like to first I'll find out if anybody has questions, and if not, I'd like to do a motion.
I don't have any questions.
Not any.
Thank you, Tricia, Dr. Thank you, Dolores Trujillo. Then I'd like to make a motion to accept the ELC minutes from January 22nd, 2025, and allow BRN staff to make non-substantive changes to correct names, misspelling, and/or typos that may be discovered in the document. Do I have a second?
I,
Second.
Okay, and was that Tricia Nguyen?
yes,
Thank you. And forgive me, do we go to public comment or do we just go ahead and vote?
public comment.
let's go to public comment.
Okay, BRN moderator, please take us to public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment."
While we wait for that, this is Reza. I'm sorry for repeatedly interrupting and circling back to this. We don't usually receive comments about active open cases in public comment during our meetings for certain reasons, some of which are coming up here. But I just wanted to advise the board, or our committee members here. As I said, there's a hearing in that case apparently scheduled for next month before the Office of Administrative Hearings, where an administrative law judge, as you know, will sit over that hearing. The individual mentioned a video, and I actually have to counsel the board members not to go and look that video up. If that video is admitted into evidence in the administrative hearing by the administrative law judge, then it will be part of the administrative record, and it can absolutely be relied on in evidence and in making a decision in the matter. But if that decision, I'm sorry, if that video is for whatever reason not entered into the record, or the ALJ has some evidentiary problem with it, then it's not going to be part of the administrative record, in which case it's not something that the board members should consider when that decision ultimately goes through OAH and then comes to the board members for decision. That's the last thing I think I have to say on that. Sorry again for the interruption, and thank you again for the comment. That's not anything against the commenter. It's kind of a technicality, as far as not a technicality, but it's just the technical way of how our hearings have to work to preserve the board members' objectivity and making a decision on the evidence in the record. So with that, that's my last interruption for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee chair member, I'm sorry, committee. I'm lost now. Sorry. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. Now we go to 4.0, and I believe this is Dr.
Gotta do the
McCarthy.
vote.
Oh, so, oh my goodness, I'm not doing well today, and I had my coffee. So I, Jovita Dominguez, would like to vote yes. President Trujillo
Trujillo votes yes.
and member Trisha Wynn.
Win, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. I believe this is item, we will go to item 4.0. This item for consideration within the agenda number will be discussed and voted upon as consent agenda item unless a committee member or member of the public state that they wish to pull one or more items out for further discussion and a separate vote. Dr. McCarthy, would you lead us, please?
Morning. I will. Thank you. 4.1, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend approval of the proposed curriculum revisions, clinical facilities, and acknowledge the receipt of program progress reports. According to board policy, nursing education consultants may review curriculum that does not significantly alter philosophy, objectives, or content of the program and can be implemented as needed prior to board approval. Schools are identified within the meeting materials in tables that are named the same. Nursing education consultants review all curriculum changes, progress reports, and clinical facility approvals. Upon review, the NEC assists the nursing education program in eliminating educational barriers and course and content redundancies, and support efforts in development and use of effective instructional methods and delivery models. These requests have been submitted, must be reported to the Education Licensing Committee and the board. And there's a list of schools who have submitted curriculum changes, program progress reports, and clinical agency facility approvals in your packet of materials, and these are consent agenda items. The BRN staff have received and reviewed all these documents from programs and are listed in agenda item 4.1. Information on these requests are on the list provided and are, again, consent agenda items. Thank you.
I'd like to just make a comment.
Sure.
I've had a chance to review the documents and really appreciate the detail that is provided to us. And I don't have any problems with any of the items being included in a consent item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha Wynn. How about Dolores Trujillo?
I have no problem. I have no issue with any of that.
Okay, well, then I believe that we can vote on
Let's make a motion.
Yes. Motion. I recommend approval of the proposed curriculum revision and clinical facilities and to acknowledge the receipt of program progress reports. Do I have a second?
I will second. This is Dolores Trujillo.
Thank you. And so BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you all have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Candice Elizabeth Whelan would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
It's just a reminder as you elevate Candace Elizabeth Whelan to be able to unmute herself, that this is for items that were just discussed as progress report acknowledgement, clinical approvals, as well as curricular changes. So I just want to make sure that that's what we're receiving public comment on right now.
Yeah, I'm a co-director of the UC Irvine Doctorate in Nursing Practice program, and I didn't see it listed as one of the items on the consent agenda. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it, because I was under the impression our program was being reviewed today.
This section is only for things that came in, did you have a curriculum change or facilities that were added or a progress report for
It
this?
was a curriculum revision to align our
We-
curriculum with the new National Task Force standards.
We have one listed for UC Irvine. Is that accurate? Is that the one you're looking for on page 52?
Oh, possibly. I'm just,
It's for the DNP FNP program?
yeah, perfect. I just, for some reason, I can't scroll. So I just maybe don't see
Not
it
a
on
problem.
here. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
This is Reza, just for clarification, and thank you for speaking up, making sure that we straighten that out. This is item 4.1 on our agenda. Most other agenda items actually list the school. Under item 4.1, there are so many schools to list, and it's being a consent agenda item, we refer to the materials. So in this case, for 4.1, the items under consideration are listed at in the materials. There's a PDF and the chart listing all the schools, and the actions under consideration on this topic are at pages 39 through 59. And UC Irvine is there on page 52, as Lori mentioned. So I believe that school is good being included in this item. But because of the comment, I wanted to make sure that everyone is totally clear. So we're doing this as a consent agenda item. That's not something new that we're doing, but it's to kind of speed along the process. Nevertheless, committee members and members of the public and anyone who might want to speak to any of the schools under consideration under item 4.1, which is the schools listed in the materials on those pages I just mentioned, can ask that we specifically address a specific school or request separately and not have it treated as a kind of a bus bulk motion type of a thing. So if there's any uncertainty for folks out there about our process on this consent process, please speak up. Happy to try to make sure it's clear. But in the case of Irvine, it looks like they're good. Was there any other public comment besides Ms. Whelan?
Other than Miss Whelan saying yes, thank you.
Other than that, no.
Okay. Nope. So sorry. So Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in Sacramento. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
and Member Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 4.2. This is the discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval of approved nursing programs. There's two sections to this. Number one is the continuing approval of pre-licensure nursing students. And number two is the continuing approval of advanced practice nurse practitioner nursing programs. The nursing education consultants conduct comprehensive program and interim approval visits and provide ongoing consultation to proposed and currently approved pre-licensure and advanced practice nursing education programs. Ensuring the approved programs prepare safe, competent nurses and advanced practice nurses. The nursing education consultants have received and reviewed all documents from the program listed in agenda item 4.2. This includes 4.2.1 through 4.2.7. Information on these requests is on those lists provided in your materials packet. These material lists will be following the ones we just talked about in the above, and they'll start following that. The information on these requests is in your materials packet, and these programs have met all board rules and regulations related to their request and are consent agenda items. Thank you.
Any members have any questions on 4.2?
I don't.
I have I don't have a question, but again, just really appreciate how comprehensive the documents are because it really allows us to feel comfortable moving forward with these programs as consent items. So thank you.
I agree.
Thank you, members. Then I'd like to take it to a motion. I recommend continuing approval of pre-licensure nursing programs and continuing approval of advanced practice nurse practitioner nursing programs. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
Thank you, Member Nguyen. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation here in Sacramento. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. So I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
and Member Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 5.0. So the rest of the items on this agenda will be presented to the committee members for discussion and vote upon each individually. Right, so we're going to start with 5.1.1, and this is the discussion and possible action regarding pre-licensure nursing programs in non-compliance. The first school is Merritt College Associate Degree Nursing Program. They have been 2 years. This is their 2 years post continuing approval visit with continuing non-compliance. Information on this program can be found starting on page 71 of the packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Merritt. In August of 2023, the board deferred action on Merritt College continuing approval for their associate degree nursing program. The program came back a year later in August of 24 with continued non-compliance, and per the request of report, by the request of the board, the program is presented today for their second year of non-compliance. Since the original continuing approval visit, the program has come into compliance with 2 areas of non-compliance. They still have remaining non-compliances which are listed in the agenda item summary on page 71. Last week, I just want to update everyone that, I'm sorry.
I was going to jump in really quick, but go for it and finish up, and then I'll jump in right after.
I appreciate you letting me finish. Last week, Merritt did reach out to their NEC with the following updates. They do have 2 full-time instructor positions for pediatrics and psych mental health posted now, and they are receiving applications. They also were awarded a Rebuilding Nursing Infrastructure RNI grant at $1.15 million. And they have also finished their contract with Nurse Tim, which is they're going to step in to help them with their curriculum consultant to be approved and finalized. So each of these programs write in an executive summary, and it is in the materials on page 73. You won't find those last 3 items that I talked about in there because that just happened last week that they got confirmation on these. And the representatives are here and available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, and then so my quick update, you guys will see in an agenda item summary for 5.1 that is not related to a specific school. So that is a new material that has been added. It explains that the board shall prepare and maintain a list of approved nursing programs, about the executive officer delegating the board's inspection of all California nursing schools and written reports to a nursing education consultant, And then that at the conclusion of those comprehensive program reviews, they do come back to the board. And then it talks about when the board receives the report, you are to kind of review and look at California Code of Regulations, section 1423.2, and they specify the action that the board can take. So you guys will see on the screen now in front of you possible motions for 5.1.1, and this is a change to the PowerPoint as well, so that you guys can see what the motion is that is recommended, and then the optional motion below that follow the regulation of what can be done for these schools. And so I wanted to make sure to call that out. It is a different format than what you're used to seeing. And so as we go through this item and the subsequent items for the programs that are in non-compliance, I will be here to answer any questions that you guys might have about this clarified process.
Thank you, Lori. I'd like to hear from the school on how they, I realize we have an update in here, but I'd like to hear from the school on what they have to say about clearing this up.
Dawn, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I've just unmuted. Can everyone
you.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. We have been working as a small faculty to rectify these non-compliances. We have felt as if the administration, I have my college president here on board, and we feel as if they are certainly supporting us. It's unfortunate that the timeliness of this has been a little late in the game, but we are small but mighty. We are looking forward to having Nurse Tim and the curriculum consultant come aboard and work with us. We've been working with our college curriculum lead, but of course, for the specifics for a nursing program curriculum, we do need that critical consultant who we now have on board. We are excited about this grant that we have, because we are feeling that it's really going to support us. And also we have these two full-time instructor positions that not only are posted, but we're already receiving applications. So things have been happening fast. They've been happening late in the game, unfortunately, but they are happening. Maybe if my president could speak to that or
Sure.
support me.
David, can you unmute?
Yes, I can. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
No, just to kind of reiterate and support what Director Williams has said. First, I want to start by saying, expressing my appreciation for the patience that you all have exhibited in terms of our efforts to navigate and get to where we want to be and where we need to be. I mean, I think this whole process, in a certain sense, has kind of elucidated some of the steps and measures that we need to take in order to kind of reclaim our position as one of the preeminent programs in the state. All the things that Director Williams stated are true and are accurate. I would, not to go into too much details in this particular forum, but trying to navigate this process, even as we are contending as a district with some fiscal and budgetary exigencies, has perhaps contributed to the process being a bit more elongated than we would have liked. But we are on track. We, as Director Williams stated, we're very excited to receive the $1.15 million grant for rebuilding nursing infrastructure grant. We've invested, in terms of our budget, hundreds of thousands of dollars in these two positions that we're going to be hiring. that are specific to areas that we need. We've we're marshaling resources in terms of human resources and having our former curriculum chair, who is a curriculum expert and one of the most respected minds in that field in the state, to come on board and assist with Nurse Tim to support our faculty to do the curriculum overhaul that we need to do. And one reason I'm here is to make it perfectly clear that the nursing program has my full support, and that we are going to use all the reach and resources of my office to ensure that we get there. Just to kind of underscore that fact, we don't hire faculty members very frequently at Merritt College. It's a once a year process, and typically we may only hire 1 or 2 faculty members at a particular given time, just to dramatize how seriously we're taking a situation with nursing. The last 3 faculty member hires approvals at this campus all been nursing. So we're putting all of our focus on getting us back to where we need to be. I don't know if that's helpful, but I wanted to provide some context.
Thank you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I looked at your materials that were submitted. The grant is 1.5 or 2 million?
It's, it's my understanding that the grant is 1.15.
1.15, okay.
Yeah, 1.15, yes.
Okay, because somehow I had read 2 million. Rebuilding Nursing Infrastructure Grant. Okay.
Okay, Dolores, I'm going to point out a couple things just real quick as just process stuff for the board. If you look at page 70 on the materials, it references the California Code of Regulation 1423.2. B, it says the board shall provide specific requirements for correction of non-compliance findings and a return date for review of the program's approval status. The board did do that. And so I wanted to make sure that our committee understands that return date is now, and the requirements for them to come into compliance is now, and it is showing that they have not come into compliance yet. So the options above are something that the board can consider, and that's A1 through 4. Various things that we've seen in the past is to continue on deferring any action on the continuing approval status, and having a conversation with the school to find out when they think these non-compliance will be cleared. And then having them either do report outs to their NEC on a quarterly basis, or having them come back in front of us, the committee and the board. And so you could see them 4 times a year, or you could see them 8 times a year, depending on what you guys would like to request. And so you'll see those optional motions listed below. Additionally, is this school does enroll 40 students once a year. They did hold their one of their enrollments already in the fall. They did that voluntarily. That was not a request, I believe, from the BRN. And so they did that to try to work on that, and they only enrolled 25 students in fall of 24. So it looks like they are really taking into consideration that consumer protection and not continuing to enroll students while they're trying to work on improving their school. And their current enrollment is only 21. If, you know, the committee had concerns and say this was like 1,000 students being enrolled, and that they had not taken these actions, the committee could have recommended a decrease in enrollment frequency, timing, or number of the new student admissions in order to address any consumer or public risk. The other item that can be done is if we were seeing some truly negative effects to the students, where the NCLEX pass rate was dropping exponentially, the attrition rate was increasing exponentially. If we were getting increased complaints coming through, or if the committee had areas of concern that they didn't believe were being addressed appropriately, you could choose option 4, which is recommend placing the program on a warning status with intent to revoke approval. That then, when that happens, that goes as reported out to any accrediting agencies that they may be working with. It could also put them on our website with a asterisk and stuff that lets the public know that we've put them on a warning status with intent to revoke approval if these items are not cleared. And then it would follow the California Code of Regulations 1423.2 A4, where if after 1 year you have put them on a warning status with intent to revoke approval, they come back in 1 year and that has not been completed, then it states that the board could revoke approval when a program has been on a warning status for 1 year and the program fails to show substantive corrective changes. I don't believe that this is where this school lives currently today, but I did want to make sure that you guys were aware of those updated this guideline being presented in this public forum, so that the public understands what the board and the committee is considering when they go through and hear these items and make recommendations around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Samuel Merritt College for that explanation.
I'm sorry, this is Merritt College?
Merritt
I'm sorry,
College.
Merritt College.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Just want to
I'm
make
sorry.
sure we got the right. That's okay.
I knew that. I knew that. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I was impressed with the amount of work that the school has taken to get into compliance. And I believe the way the report was written, you know, change takes time. So I appreciate that. I'm not really in a punishing mood, you know, at this particular school. I do believe they should report back to us. I don't know that quarterly is the right amount. Maybe annually. I'd rather that they focus on making the improvements than coming before the board. The one thing I did want to point out, though, is the very high attrition rates. Those attrition rates always concern me, because those, of course, are students that are enrolling in this college and paying their fees and then, you know, washing out because the school isn't vibrant. So I would just, you know, encourage you to keep an eye on those numbers. And other than that, I'm, you know, inclined to support a motion to, you know, continuing, you know, to approve and allow for the school to get into compliance.
Would you be inclined to recommend just quarterly reports to the assigned NEC?
Oh, yeah, that would be fine. I mean, I'm sure the NEC, maybe Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy, maybe you could tell us, you know, I'm sure you're in touch with schools at least
Yes.
quarterly if they're
Yeah,
in.
we're in touch
non-compliance.
with schools all the time. I had this school when they did the CAV a little over 2 years ago, and now I have passed it on to a colleague. We work very closely with them. So yes, we do keep regular contact. It is just a little concerning about how long it has been for them to get where they, you know, to the point where they're actually going to try to hire and get a consultant, because you probably don't remember, but the last time they came, they also were getting a consultant. And the first time they came, they were getting a consultant. So it's been a really long time to try to get something in place, and a long time trying to get faculty hires. Grant money is great, but my concern about grant money is that it's not always lasting. So I worry about what happens if the grant doesn't continue. Are they going to be able to pick up the faculty positions in the regular budget? Those kind of things.
Would be very interested in your, you know, idea of the appropriate amount.
That is not up to me. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Thank you. I don't want to put you on the spot. Thank
think
you.
Typically
Tricia,
in the past have done quarterly, like we've done before, have them put in progress reports that gets on the consent list. And like Lori said, you can have them come more often, less often. We're going to work with them regardless. It's just when we have to formally bring something to either the progress note or actually to the ELC and board.
And then just so I think what we need to find out is truly when they believe that they will get these non-compliances cleared. I think that will help the committee here determine how frequent they want to see them. Understanding that this continuing approval happened, this visit, when this was discovered, occurred in August of 2023. Which means that they have continued enrollment, probably had an entire enrollment and graduating class. It is an associate degree program. And so we would just need kind of a timeline to kind of track this to make sure that they are making the necessary movements, to be able to come into compliance in the timeline that they have predicted.
Dawn, did you have any focus or input into what you think it, now that you finally have a contract with a consultant and you have positions to be, are you hopeful to fill them? What's the timeline on those kind of things? And when does the grant go into effect? Like, when will you actually have the money? Will you have the money to pay faculty this fall, or will it not happen till the spring?
That's the reason why I asked about the grant, because I was going to lead into that question. So thank you very much, Dr. McCarthy.
President Johnson, could you speak on that?
I can speak to the hiring. So the commitment for these 2 faculty positions in nursing is not contingent upon the grant. These are what we would call general fund hires. So they're going to be institutionalized irrespective of what, irrespective of of when the grant sunsets. I mean, the idea is to utilize some of the funds from the grant to amplify and augment the work that we're doing. But once we, I mean, again, not to get into the weeds in terms of our college process, but once the college makes the commitment to hire the faculty members, the funding source falls ultimately on the college, our general fund. So we may use some of this money to support those faculty members and maybe even to pay salaries from time to time, but these are institutionalized positions, what we call Fund 1 positions, that we're committed to irrespective of when the grant sunsets.
So assuming that you
get hired, the process, these are fall 2025 hires.
Okay. So
our expectation is these folks are going to start in the fall.
Okay. Thank you. So the timeline would be for faculty would be fall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And then what would be the timeline for the consultants? Are they started already? Are they, what's the timeline?
It just went through.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dawn. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it just went through last week. I've been in contact with the consultant. We are due to have a meeting on Monday. So I would think that within the next week or so, I would be able to give an educated answer regarding a timeline with regard to the curriculum.
And Dawn, with your very, like you said, your very small staff, your small and mighty staff, we always talk about your small and mighty staff.
Yes.
Are they able to have the time that they need to be able to work on curriculum? Because that's going to be, the consultant thing's kind of outside of their regular teaching and working.
Well, they know that they need, they know that they need to dedicate this time for curriculum. We have set aside time for curriculum workshops that they have been attending already. So we are stuffing in time. We're using faculty meeting time. We're using other time during the week to work to this. So I would say that the faculty is well aware of the commitment that they need to put forth for this curriculum and to keep this program afloat. They're well aware of it.
Thank you.
The non-compliances have gone on for a couple of years, I understand, 2 years. I would be more inclined to favor the optional motion of recommend return to ELC and or board quarterly until areas of noncompliances are cleared. I would like to keep this school kind of at the forefront of my radar for now.
Agree with you, Dolores. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
President Trujillo, would you like to make the motion? Because it sounds like it's pretty, I believe you pretty much
I can
quoted
say it
one of the
again.
motions, yeah.
And then Dolores, just for clarification, when
Yeah.
you're looking at that motion, if you want them just to come to ELC to have this conversation, that would be, you would just say recommend return to ELC quarterly. If you wanted them to come to ELC and then the following month also come to board, that is when you would add
Yeah,
board.
no, just
If
ELC.
you- Yeah, and if you did not want to have this as just ELC and you wanted the entire board to have a focus on this, you would then just recommend to go to the board quarterly. So those are the three options. Just when you get to that, after you do the recommend deferring taking action, and you drop down to that optional motion, just be clear on how frequent and where you want them to attend, whether it's ELC, board, or both.
Okay. All right. So I would like to make a motion. I would like to recommend Merit College Associate Degree Nursing Program return to ELC.
I'm gonna
let's
back
start
you
at
up
the
a
top.
bit. You could start at the top.
Okay.
Recommend deferring, and then we'll go to option 2.
Okay.
Correct.
So I would like to recommend deferring taking action on the continuing approval status for Merit College Associate Degree Nursing Program, 2 years with non-compliances following a BRN continuing approval visit, while they work to clear the areas of non-compliance. I would also like to recommend that they return to ELC quarterly until all areas of non-compliances are cleared.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much.
right.
BRN moderator, would you take it to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comment. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo,
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
committee member Trisha Wynn,
Win, yes.
motion carries. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 5.1.2. This is the discussion and possible action regarding a pre-licensure nursing program in non-compliance, Copper Mountain College Associate Degree Nursing Program. They are 1 year with non-compliances that remain following a BRN continuing approval visit. The information on this program starts on page 75 of the packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Copper Mountain. All right, Copper Mountain had a scheduled continuing approval visit in December of 23. And during the visit, they were found to be in non-compliance with 2 main BRN pre-licensure regulations and 5 related subsections. In May of 2024, the decision was to defer the deferred decision on continuing approval to allow the program to work with their NEC to come into compliance. Quarterly reports were given to the NEC to report to the ELC and board, and in 1 year of continued noncompliance, they should return to the board. They are returning today with the remaining areas of noncompliance. The noncompliances that they still have are listed on page 75 in your packet on the AIS. And program representative, well, each program writes an executive summary which has been submitted, and that's on page 77. There is a difference between what the school finds in their executive summary and what the nursing education consultant finds in relationship to compliance to regulation. And program representatives are here for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Maybe we should hear from the school.
Yeah.
Okay. Camille, can you come off of mute? I see Camille. Nope, she came off for a second. Try it again, Camille. There you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before the committee. I'm Dr. Camille Reese. I am working with Copper Mountain College. I've been on board since January and am currently serving as the director of the Associate Degree Nursing Program. I have over 30 years in nursing and nursing education. I've served as a program director and academic dean, and also as a provost at 2 different institutions. I have a lot of experience in curriculum, evaluation, as well as accreditation. So we are a small college in rural California, in Joshua Tree, California. And so we've obviously had some challenges over the years, but I feel like we're moving forward in a very positive way. We are in the process of hiring 2 new faculty. We have those positions posted and actually started the interview process last week. The turnover actually was due to faculty resignations, which we believe were a positive move for the college so that we can move forward with better program quality as well as enhanced student success. We've been working on our curriculum, and I meet with the faculty on a regular basis. So we are in the process of looking at the curriculum to determine where we have areas that we need to make improvements. We have a lot of support from the community. We have support from the president and the vice president at the college. We are developing really strong partnerships with a lot of the other associate degree programs in our area, and they're working with us as well and sharing any best practices and answering questions that we might have. We've worked hard on our onboarding process for new faculty, both from an institutional perspective as well as within the program. We are currently in the process of revising our evaluation plan. That will be based on ACEN standards and criteria. I've served as a ACEN team chair for over 20 years, so I feel very confident that I can move us forward in that process as well. So we feel like we're doing our due diligence, and I would be interested to find out what the discrepancies were between the executive summary that I submitted and the comments from the nurse consultant. I'm not sure what those would be. I have not heard anything back from her about that.
Well, it could be just what I read, but what I read was that, like, on the agenda item summary from the NEC, there are still areas of noncompliance. But when I read the executive summary, I see we're in compliance, we're in compliance, we're in compliance. And again, I may have misread in my review preparing for this, but that is what I noticed as I was preparing for these meetings. So if you are in compliance, that, we just need, it appears to me the NEC doesn't have the verification that we need to say that you're in compliance. Because we wouldn't be bringing you forward if you were in full compliance. We would have you on the consent agenda list.
Right. I don't know. We also have hired an assistant director, so that was an area that we were found to be in non-compliant in as well. So, but again, we're working diligently to make sure that we are addressing any concerns or any deficiencies that we've had in the past. And I felt really positive when I wrote the executive summary to see all the areas that we have actually improved.
When is the timeline for hiring these positions? When do you think they'll be in place?
I think the second round interviews are early next week. So we anticipate to have,
You're hopeful for
uh,
fall?
well, we're going to bring them on at ASAP because
Okay.
there's some work that we want to do this summer. This group of faculty will I'll be participating in uh, a retreat the first week in May. And so we want to make sure that we're able to bring our new folks on board if possible, even, you know, before they're fully vested as employees at the college and just paying them for their time. But we want them to have a part in that planning and be able to get their input as we move forward.
And then for the committee, just to address kind of the differences from what the schools reported to what our NEC has reported, you can see starting on page 77, the executive summary that the school has submitted. And as they go through each of the areas, they make a comment that says the program is in compliance. So understanding that that is something that is determined by the board after reviewing the NEC's information. So the program cannot make the statement that they're in compliance without having that finalized. So we understand that that's what's written in. They believe they have brought the program into compliance, but there is a level of review that has to occur. And if you look at the agenda item summary starting on page 75 and concluding on page 76, it does show on the very bottom of 76 that there are 2 non-compliances that were completely resolved. It does say 1424F and 1425F, so those were resolved. But the remaining non-compliances are 1424D, E, and H. You can see that the progress that the program has made over the years, and it does state in each one of those that the NEC is currently awaiting a current report of faculty to evaluate the resources, ensure there's a plan to maintain compliance moving forward from the program director to clear this non-compliance. The second one, it says the NEC is awaiting the 1-year update from the program director on current teaching load and responsibilities with the PD and AD, new organizational chart with an addition of the nursing program supervisor to clear this area of noncompliance. And the final one, it states that the NEC is awaiting a current report on faculty to evaluate the resources and ensure there is a plan to maintain compliance moving forward from the program director to clear this noncompliance. My assumption is, which is only an assumption because I'm not their NEC and are not necessarily involved in this aspect of the program with them, is that once those reports are received and the NEC can verify that they would be coming forward on the next probably agenda with a consent agenda item saying that they're in full compliance. And then you would see them as part of the consent agenda item above the next ELC meeting that you would attend. So it does look like they're in a good position at this point to clear those compliances, but at this particular point, they are not there. So a little different than the previous school that we reviewed that are kind of having the same thing. This is a 1 year. The other school was a 2 year, I believe. And the other school still had a lot of areas that they were still kind of beginning phases, where it looks like this program is wrapping up those phases. And so just for you guys to have that information, we are working with this program, and I'm going to say we, and include myself in that. I am meeting with the president of the college, as well as the vice president of the college, in order to kind of really provide some direction and education on what the needs of a nursing program are. After meeting with the president and the vice president, it was discovered that in nursing schools, there seems to be a disconnect between the program director that has the authority over the nursing program and what the vice president or president of the college believes occurs within a nursing program approval or accreditation. And so that is a gap that we have identified, and we will be looking as BRN wide as what we can do to provide education for campus presidents and vice presidents and any deans that are not RNs and not familiar with the nursing program, so that we can get the education out ahead of time, kind of like a nursing program orientation kind of thing, because our laws are different than the laws that they're familiar with. A lot of times, and this is a community college, they fall under, I think, Title V, and various other titles that fall under the chancellor's office in the community college district. And so the campus presidents are very familiar with that with that code section, right? They're less familiar with the Nurse Practice Act, and in fact, almost very rarely familiar with the specific school approval process and what that means. And so we want to be able to kind of be very proactive, provide as much information as possible so that our programs don't end up in areas of non-compliance greater than a year, greater than 2 years, because that is when it ultimately comes down and affects the consumer, our students.
And if I could add, just one other thing, there has been, as I think we mentioned, there's been a lot of turnover in the PD, AD, in those roles. And so, Camille, I just want to clarify that, because I believe that your assistant director has a full-time teaching load right now, which makes it really hard to have release time to learn the role and support you. When you hire these people, is that these new faculty, will that release the teaching load for the AD?
Yes, it will.
Okay, thank you.
Can I clarify something?
Sure, go ahead.
I was asked to submit information on faculty. I provided a list of all the full-time faculty, the adjunct faculty that we're currently using, so that's been submitted. I also provided a copy of the current org chart, and the only position that's not on that org chart is the supervisor over the whole nursing programs. That's the person I report to. However, she does not have any teaching responsibilities in the ADN program, nor any administrative responsibilities. So I did let our NEC know that that org chart would be updated. That's generally done during the summer in preparation for the new academic year. So that's coming. In terms of the teaching load, I was not asked to provide information on teaching load for faculty, but I can certainly provide that. I believe all of our faculty are in line with the required teaching loads at the college. And if anybody is on overload, it's overload that they agree and are paid to do.
Yeah, I was only speaking to your assistant director. As far as the regulation when it comes to having adequate time, the program director and the assistant director to run the program, and the regulation that speaks to if something would happen to you and you couldn't be there, the assistant director would need to step up and be at least knowledgeable enough to step up and take your spot until it could be filled if something would happen. It's not just for you guys, it's for everybody. So
right, she does get the assistant director does get a 20% release time now.
Okay. Well, like Lori said, once Donna, your nursing education consultant, gets all the stuff and gets it verified and works with you guys, once you come into compliance, you'll be on the consent agenda item that you're in compliance, and that will move forward at a future education licensing and board meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Dolores, Jovita, Trish?
I would like to make a motion, but Trisha, do you have anything, or Jovita?
No, thank you.
Comfortable with the way this is progressing. So I'm sure I will agree with your motion.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I was going to recommend return to ELC quarterly until all issues of noncompliance are.
Dolores, will you start at the very top?
Yeah, I'm talking to Trish.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. I thought you were making a motion.
That's okay. So I was going to check with Trish and Jovita to see what they thought about that, because it sounds like if they return even by the next ELC meeting, that maybe some of this will be cleared up.
Yeah.
And they can go on to the consent agenda.
Yeah, you were reading my mind. I was leaning towards that.
Okay.
Yes, me too.
So to be clear, if we believe that their non-compliances will be cleared by next ELC, then they will not have to appear in front of the ELC. They'll be in they'll be a consent agenda item.
Agenda.
So what you may consider is the top optional motion that just says recommend they return in 1 year with quarterly reports to the NEC. Because if so, to compare them to the last school again, the last school was beginning a process, and you guys really wanted to keep tabs on that to ensure that that's moving along. So having them come in person, and in person is virtual here, right? And have the conversation with the committee, that allows you to keep a very close attention to the detail that's going on. With this school, it looks like they'll be clear probably by the next ELC meeting.
That's what I'm thinking.
So if you're having them attend to that, it would actually pull them out of consent and have you guys actually meet with them like you're doing right now to have that ability to have the conversation, to be able to come in alignment with this motion. If you were to require them to return to the ELC to have these discussions with you guys. And this one's only 1 year. The other school that you guys made the motion to come back to ELC is 2 years. So there is a slight difference. If I would be more in alignment to say, yeah, I don't see any issue with the optional motion number 2 that you guys were just kind of discussing. If it looked like this program was still struggling and not coming into compliance. But because on review of everything that's been presenting, having the conversation here, I think honestly, they're right on path to clear. I think just having them continue to work with their ELC might be more appropriate if you look at it kind of like how everything is managed when you do a comparison. I don't want to look like we are coming down too hard on a program that looks like they're wrapping this up, just if that makes sense.
It sure does. Thank
Yeah.
you, Lori.
To me too. Thank you.
All right, so I'll go ahead and make the motion. I recommend deferring taking action on the continuing approval status for Copper Mountain College Associate Degree Nursing Program, 1 year with non-compliances following a BRN continuing approval visit while they work to clear the areas of non-compliance. Continue to recommend return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to the assigned NEC.
Dominguez, seconds.
Thank you,
I
Jovita.
just would like to add that is it okay if they return to the ELC and the board? Because the board would have to be a part of it if they have to come back in non-compliance.
So could they just return to the board in May, or will they still need to come to ELC?
If they come in compliance, they won't come forward at all. They're going to
Okay.
go on the consent agenda. But if they're with the part you're doing option number 1,
Yes.
recommend return. So if they're going to return in 1 year with quarterly reports, they're not going to return unless they're still in non-compliance, but they will need to come to the ELC and board. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. I don't think that's going to happen, but I just want to make sure that it's clear that the optional motion number 1, they have to come back to the ELC and board.
That's
Potentially.
the reason
So,
why I did
Dolores-
not want to do number 1, because that's
hang
how
on.
I read it.
Pause a second. You can do ELC, Dolores, and leave it at ELC and not have board, because when you have them in ELC, the ELC would recommend to the board, right? So
Yes.
if you want to leave it at ELC, you absolutely can. The other thing that I believe I heard you say just now is, can they go to the board in compliance in May? That is a possibility. That is next month, but that would only be if our NEC has received the information, which it looks like she may have, but there may be some information that she's missing, and our NEC is able to say affirmatively that they have verified everything and they're ready. If at that point this could be moved to consent agenda for approval, and we would pull that off and make that separate. But that is strictly up to the NEC on whether or not they're able to get that done, because they have a deadline for materials, they have a deadline for review, and they have a deadline to be able to get this forward through review and post it on the website, etc. So I wanted to address your May statement, because that may not be able to occur because that is just next month. There is always a possibility, but I don't want to make promises without knowing what that NEC's workload is, what they're waiting on, what kind of verifications need to occur. So the expectation, I think, where we're at here with this program is the August ELC is when they'll come forward as a consent agenda item and be cleared. And the board will just vote on them in
Sure.
September and they'd be fine, right? Or whatever the dates is that line up. Sorry, it'll just be the next ELC and board. I would not have that expectation that our NEC would be able to review everything and clear everything in like the next week in order to get them updated for the board's agenda for May, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Lori, for that timeline. I still stick with the return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to the assigned NEC. And that's how I stated it originally.
Thank you.
Is there any other?
I second that, Dolores. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, go to public comment.
BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our location in Sacramento. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
and committee member Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 5.1.3. This is discussion and possible action regarding pre-licensure nursing programs in non-compliance. This is Fresno City College Associate Degree Nursing Program, the program with non-compliances following a BRN continuing approval visit. Information on this program can be found starting on page 80 of the packet. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the presenters on the list for Fresno City. So Fresno City had a scheduled continuing approval visit in December of 2024. The program was found to be in noncompliance with 3 regulations and 6 related subsections. They have fully resolved 1 related subsection and have been working on the other 5. Each program submits an executive summary submitted in the materials. Theirs starts on page 82, and program representatives are here for any questions you may have.
I'd like to hear from the school.
Sonia?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Dr. Sonia Duarte, and I'm currently the interim director of nursing for Fresno City, and I am serving as the dean of nursing. So I took this position over in July, around July 15th, and our visit was in December. So as you can imagine, we had a lot of work to do, but we did get, the majority of it completed. A couple of different things. I have been working with Donna, our NEC. She's been wonderful in helping direct me on what needed to be done. When I first came on, we are in candidacy for ASIN and scheduled for a visit in the fall. So we were already working on a TPE, but it wasn't quite what the BRN needed. So we were looking more on an ASIN focus. So we have revised that, and I am working with Donna to make that compliant. As far as the director of nursing job description that we did have non-compliance on, that did have to go through our human resources department. So it did take a while to bring that to compliance as well. The faculty tracking is the one that has probably been the most difficult for us. And that was because we do have a large program, over 400 students. Excuse me, we have about 70 part-time faculty and 15 full-time faculty. So we really didn't have a process in place to make sure that the EVPs were current and to make sure that everyone had their CEs on board on an annual basis. So since our last visit and since me coming on board, we have established a better process. One of those things was bringing on a clinical coordinator. So we were able to do that at 50% release time, as well as an assistant director at 50%, just focused on helping with some of those part-time faculty management. What I found was that our faculty are in compliance. It's the documentation and the tracking that we were lacking. So it was really just, getting a hold of those adjuncts and making sure we had one dedicated person to help us record that documentation. So Donna, as well as Maria, provided us a document that we were able to use for tracking, and that has helped us tremendously currently as well as moving forward. One of the good things that happened this last week was we also were able to receive 1.13 million from the RNI grant. So with that, we plan to bring on a clinical coordinator at 100%. And we feel that that will additionally help us with the tracking of the compliance for our part-time instructors. Now, the Dean of Nursing position, this is also new. So I took this in December. So this is also a new position that the district felt was needed in order to help better support nursing. So we not only have a Dean of Nursing, but we also have the Director of Nursing at 100% administrative time, 50% assistant director, which we are looking at maybe increasing that to 100% release time. And then as well as the clinical coordinator position at 50% release time and department chair at 30% release time. So we feel that that would provide us adequate coverage, as well as us going through the ASIN process. We have identified the, needs in better processes. I will say that it wasn't that we weren't necessarily doing the things, we just weren't tracking it how we should have been. We have a lot of support from not only the college, but our community, as well as our chancellor's office. And we're currently working on a pipeline with Fresno State. So that has also helped us to, look into our compliance and see how we can better maintain our processes. So at this time, I feel that Donna has been a huge support in just making sure I'm on top of everything. It's more just the evidence that we still need to provide to her. So I don't see any, reservations in us getting those things done. It's just the, time commitment to get her the evidence and make sure it's the evidence that she needs. And so, so I feel like we're moving forward in a positive direction, and that we have the support now and the infrastructure, most importantly, to get the program where it needs to be for compliance. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
So
You'll see that this recommended motion is slightly different, right? We don't have all of those options below, just because they've just left a continuing approval visit. And so they have not had adequate time to work on anything. We also haven't seen them since that continuing approval visit to be able to give them specific direction on how to clear that up, to come back in a year. So you will see that this slide is different from the other slides, and you'll see that following suit for the next couple schools that have just had a continuing approval visit that have not had been in front of the committee yet. This is their first time.
I'd like to make a motion for 5.1.3. I recommend deferring taking action on the continuing approval status for Fresno City College Associate Degree Nursing Program with non-compliance following the BRN continuing approval visit, while they work to clear the areas of non-compliance. Recommend return to ELC board in 1 year with quarter reports to the assigned NEC. Do I have a second?
Do we want to say just ELC on that, Jovita, or both?
We could do so ELC board in 1 year with quarterly reports and assigned NEC, and to the board meetings.
I'd be in favor of just to the ELC. Rather than the ELC on the board.
Okay. Then let's recommend a return to ELC board in 1 year with.
Would just be ELC.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
just
sorry,
return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to the assigned NEC.
Recommend to return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to to the assigned NEC. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Thank you.
That's committee member Trisha Wynn.
Yeah.
BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
and committee member Trisha Wynn.
Wynn, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Wondering if we could take a very brief break right now? Maybe 5 or 10 minutes?
10.
10?
I'm gonna return at 10:40.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Welcome, everybody, back. Do we need to do roll call, or are we okay to continue on with 5 point?
Go ahead and do a quick roll call just for the record, please.
Yes, Jovita Dominguez, present, President Trujillo,
Dolores Trujillo present.
and committee member Trisha Wynn,
Wynn, present.
EO Lori Melby,
Well, I think we have quorum with the
Okay.
committee members.
and Reza Peshesh, present, and
This is here. Yep.
thank you, and Dr. Marianne McCarthy.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Moving on
Continue.
to agenda item 5.1.4. This is the discussion and possible action regarding pre-licensure nursing programs in noncompliance. This school is Los Angeles City College Associate Degree Nursing Program. The program is in noncompliance following a board BRN continuing approval visit. Information on this program can be found starting on page 86 of your packet. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the presenters that are on the list for Los Angeles City. So Los Angeles City College Associate Degree Nursing Program had a planned continuing approval visit in November of 2024. During that visit, Los Angeles City was found to have one major noncompliance and three non-compliances in related subsections. And again, the list in the materials starts on page 86, where you can see what they have completed and what they're still working on. Each program writes an executive summary. It's in the materials on page 87, and the representatives of the program are here for questions.
Would the school like to comment on where they're at?
Sherry?
Hello, thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Christine Sloat. I'm new to the LACC role of Director of Nursing as of fall of 2024. During this time, we had our CAV visit, which revealed some items of noncompliance. I want to also state that our program has full support from our district office, our college administrators, President Dr. Gabru, and our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Carmen Dones, who's also on this call with us. We work collaboratively with our college administrators, our college departments, human resources, IT, schedulers, and the non-credit department to develop and roll out our action plan for items of correction. During this time, we did an evaluation of our program, a total evaluation, And we determined to keep our enrollment at 30 students right now as we try to stabilize with faculty, curriculum changes, simulation, and obtaining clinical site placements and our department processes. We've also added about $130,000 worth of purchase orders for simulation equipment to bring our department up to modern standards. We currently have a quote on simulation recording equipment that we haven't finished the quote yet, but we'll be obtaining it this month. And I will go ahead and list the items of what we have done. We have a basic skills lab, at which point we've been able to dedicate an area for simulation. We have hired a simulation technician, which is full-time, 12 months a year, and they will begin on May 5th. Some other areas that have been identified was, let me go down to the next one. Our simulation technology and scenarios. We have set aside $10,000 worth of grant funding to go ahead and build those scenarios. To either, we're going to allow our simulation technician to come aboard so we can work with her on developing these scenarios or purchasing scenarios that are already been approved by regulated agencies. We also have grant funds set aside to allow our full-time faculty to attend a NASCL training so that they can go ahead and become compliant with doing simulation activities with our students. Open skills lab hours. We have worked with our department, the Dean of Non-Credit, Angelica Ramirez, and we currently have that have just been active this week. We have a tutoring non-credit course that our students will be enrolling into that will allow them up to 42 hours during this last 8 weeks of their course to have open lab hours to come in and have a faculty be there with them to provide that. Another area of non-compliance was staffing. We have a full-time medical surgical nursing position, faculty position, and we have a full-time mental health faculty position that are posted with applicants that have applied. The medical surgical one closes on May 24th. The full-time mental health one will be closing on May 3rd. And we also have interviews scheduled for next Friday to bring on 3 additional adjunct faculty members.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Just so the committee members know, they're doing a lot of things with simulation, which is wonderful, but we have no regulations around simulation, just so you know.
Thank you, Marianne. I noticed that too.
Any,
Go ahead, Tovita.
no, I was actually going to ask if any committee members had questions.
I think we're ready for a motion, Trish.
Okay.
Yes, I'm ready for a motion. I think, you know, it's clear where the areas of non-compliance are. I'm impressed with the work that the school is doing to come into compliance. So.
Okay, good. Then let's, I would like to recommend deferring taking action on the continuing approval status for Los Angeles City College Associate Degree Nursing Program with non-compliances following a BRN continuing approval visit while they work to clear the areas of non-compliance. Recommend to return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to the assigned NEC. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, President Trujillo. BRN moderator, would you please take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
and Committee Member Tricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda item 5.1.5. Discussion and possible action regarding pre-licensure nursing programs in non-compliance. This is Fresno Pacific, or I'm sorry, yes, Fresno Pacific University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program. The program has non-compliances following a BRN continuing approval visit. Information on this program can be found starting on page 93 in your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Fresno Pacific. All right, Fresno Pacific was initially approved in May of 2021, and they had a scheduled joint continuing approval visit in November of 2024. And so joint means we went with the accreditors on this visit. The program was found to be in non-compliance in 3 BRN regulations. And you can see those on the AIS. They're 1424D, 1424E, 1424F. Each program writes an executive summary submitted with the materials, and that starts on page 93. And we have program reps here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Would the school talk on their behalf, please?
Sure. Let's see who's in the. I have Minerva or Yasith. They were on my list. I do not see them in the presenters.
Wasn't this Fresno Pacific?
Yes. So I have Minerva Valdenor and
I have
Yasith Wisteria.
Esther and Michelle Bradford. Esther.
I must have the wrong one. So let's go with Esther. Maybe I put the wrong one on here. Let's see. Esther, can you come off mute?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. And are we right? You're Fresno Pacific?
Yes.
Thank
Fresno
you so
Pacific
much.
University. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for inviting us. I want to say I'm also here with our dean, Michelle Bradford, and we had our BRN visit in November, and I stepped into my role in January. Some of our non-compliance issue is based on my overload and the assistant director's overload. So we took up this position in January. I do have 100% release time, and the assistant director has a 50% release time. We are making changes regarding those, understanding that with my full release time and have 50%, we're now planning to have those overloads come for 2025. I do also know that our handbook allows, if approved by the dean, up to 18% overload, but we have talked to the dean and she's aware that considering that we have this role and we want to be very effective in this role. So we're very mindful of our overloads. And regarding the positions, we currently have the CNO position in progress. We have 2 candidates that have applied for the assistant director role, and we have interview dates planned. We just hired a clinical faculty, and we have also new application for the additional clinical faculty role. Regarding our in-class review score, we have made a lot of changes to improve our test score. One of the things we did was we changed the course from 1 unit to 2 units to allow for additional time to prep students. We had previously had a virtual in-class review, but we changed it to in-person review. We just had our ATI review in person between the 2nd and 4th of this month. We also signed a new contract with Kaplan for additional support for our students, and we have that scheduled for May 7th through May 9th. So I am very confident that with these changes that we're making, we will be able to improve our test score. Some of the things that we did, we are actively reviewing participation time. We're looking at the quality of time students are spending on remediation. We have an intervention form. We monitor student at risk, and we're following through with remediation. We've had resource instructors that work directly with the students to help them bring them to the green level or the outcome that we want to see with their in-class prepping time, and also the tests and quizzes that they've been taking so far. Any question for me?
Thanks for that, Esther.
Any questions from the committee members?
You know, I could be wrong, but it seems like this is kind of growing pains, and you know, change is hard, and you know, I would be supporting a motion where we defer taking action and maybe just have them report to the ELC.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend deferring taking action on the continuing approval status for Fresno Pacific University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program with noncompliance following the BRN continuing approval visit while they work on to clear the areas of noncompliance. Recommend that they return to ELC in 1 year with quarterly reports to the assigned NEC. Do I have a second?
Second.
BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public. Type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
And committee member Tricia Nguyen?
And yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Agenda item 5.2. This is the discussion and possible action regarding a request to teach out and close an approved advanced practice nursing program. 5.2.1 is the University of Southern California Family Nurse Practitioner Program. Information on this program can be found starting on page 98 of the packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for USC. The University of Southern California Masters in Nursing Family Nurse Practitioner Program has made a decision to teach out the program over a course of 2.5 years with a projected completion date of December of 27. This decision was based on a decline in programs in favor of a decline in recruitment and enrollment, and the national trend among nursing schools to phase out MSN in favor of a 3-year Doctor of Nursing Practice program. Admissions were suspended in the spring of 2025 to prepare for this, and each program writes an executive summary submitted in the materials. Their executive summary starts on page 99. Program representatives are here to answer your questions.
Would they talk
I
about?
would like, yeah. Do you want me just to always ask them to speak first, the programs?
Yes, if you
Okay.
wouldn't mind, Dr. McCarthy.
Sure,
Thank you.
no problem. No problem. Shelley or Michelle?
Hi everyone.
Hi there.
My name is Michelle or Shelley Zappis, and yeah, it's with great sadness that I'm coming here today to request this closure and teach out. I was informed by the dean of our school. We are within a school of social work, in November of last year that the decision had been made to close out our program for reasons listed in the executive summary, but one of which was just an inability to support and continue the expansion towards a DNP, which faculty were pushing for. So yes, this is my request. We've had a great board pass rate, as you can see, low attrition rate, but we are informed by administration that they are requesting a teach-out. So, any questions?
No, I do commend you for your pass rates. Any committee members have questions?
No.
Is it specific to, this, item, but why are these nurse practitioner programs being phased out? I mean, I did see there was one sentence about, people are pursuing doctorates instead, but is this niche just no longer needed, or I would just love your impression.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of places are going towards the BSN to DNP, and so and NOMS is in recognition of that or in support of that, and had a recommendation that by 2025 all nurse practitioners be prepared at the doctoral level. So this was a push that faculty was making in order to elevate the NP practice. And yeah, it was just not really in favor. That being said, I do think that there is still a market for MSN programs that prepare nurse practitioners. But yeah, it was, it is recommendations by our NOMS and even, AACN that we move towards a doctoral prepared. And that's consistent with other healthcare professionals as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to take a motion to accept the request to teach out and close an approved advanced practice nurse practitioner program at the University of Southern California Family Nurse Practitioner track. This teach out closes admissions to the nurse practitioner program with a projected end date of December 31st, 2027. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Committee member Tricia Wen?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Did I hear somebody else wanting to make a comment? BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
It will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
And committee member Tricia Wen?
Wen, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 5.3.1, Discussion and possible action regarding a request for an enrollment pattern change for an approved pre-licensure nursing program. The University of San Diego Hahn School of Nursing and Health Science entry-level master's program. Information on this program starts on page 107 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for USD. So USD is requesting a change in their board-approved enrollment pattern. Their current enrollment pattern is 60 students once a year, every fall. And what they'd like to do is propose 60 students annually, still the same number, but they want to divide them into semesters, doing 40 students in the fall and 20 students in the spring. So this would not be an enrollment increase. This would be the same enrollment but spread out differently, which could affect placement. However, by splitting their enrollment from once a year to twice a year, they're going to optimize their facility and clinical sites. They also did a recent curriculum revision where they decreased their clinical hours from 1,200 to 960 in order to maximize opportunities and avoid the impact. We did provide a data growth information sheet for you on page 109, and that shows Region 10, which is the southern border where they are located. And as always, every program writes an executive summary submitted in the materials. It starts on page 110, and they do talk about specifically what they've done and why their decision to try to split this into two admissions instead of one. The program is here for any questions you might have. Thanks.
Yeah, I would like to hear the
Sure.
reason for splitting the
Sure.
enrollment. Just curious.
Kathy, let's see.
Hi, thank
Hi
you for
there.
having me today to represent University of San Diego. And I'd like to also thank Michelle Johnson, our NEC, for helping us out with all these, with the curriculum changes, as well as the adding a second cohort. What most schools are finding is when, increase enrollment, especially in precepted placements, it's difficult to get those. And a few years ago when we were at 60 in the fall cohort, and it was challenging for some of the hospitals to say all the students can have their precepted one-on-one with the nurse. And when the essentials came out in 2021, we took a good hard look at our curriculum, and that's in conjunction with the Department of Education talking about the debt to earnings ratio and talking to our clinical partners about placements. We decided we're ready to go back to 60, but we really want to have divided up. And then that way it'll make it easier, especially in some of those precepted placements. So instead of the hospitals trying to give 60 precepted one-on-one leadership placements in the fall, they'll have 40. And then the other 20 students, we're going to divide it 40 and 20 for now. And it'll just make it a little bit easier on the hospitals and less competition with other schools in the area.
And then I would like to jump in and then provide just some clarifications for you guys. I know that San Diego's inundated. What is interesting with this request is they're not asking for more students. They're asking to keep their same level of students and just change the way that they bring them in. And so it should be a neutral impact essentially to the community and not cause any increased demands on the resources that are already very limited in San Diego.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
I don't have any questions.
You don't either.
Good. I'm with you, ladies. I'd like to recommend acceptance of the enrollment pattern change for the approved pre-licensure nursing program at the University of San Diego Hahn School of Nursing and Health Sciences entry-level master's degree nursing program with the 40 students in the fall and 20 students each spring. for a continued annual enrollment of 60 students a year. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. This is Dolores Trujillo.
Thank you very much. BRN moderator, take us to public comment, please.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment.
And thank you to the committee members.
I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Thank you. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Committee member Trisha Wynn?
And yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda items under 5.4. This is the discussion and possible action regarding a request to grant initial approval of a new pre-licensure nursing program. The first program under consideration is 5.4.1 Pepperdine University Baccalaureate Degree and Entry-Level Master's Degree Nursing Program. Information on this program can be found starting on page 115 of the packet. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the presenters on the list for Pepperdine.
Real quick,
Pepperdine-
Mary Ann, before you continue, I just want to jump in really quick just to give some general direction again. Sorry, just because it's set up differently. And so as you guys are hearing the report out from Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy, and she's giving this data, I want to remind you guys that these are already approved feasibility studies. So you guys have already addressed the enrollment. You guys have already addressed the location. The reason they're coming forward today is for them to be shown that they are in compliance and can open. And so these, you guys took into consideration all of the regional data. You guys took into consideration and adjusted the enrollments already. And so this is just very similar to what you would see as a continuing approval visit, where the NECs have gone out. They've done the continuing approval visit. However, this is an initial approval visit. That's the differences here. And they've determined that they're in full compliance. And that is why they're here on this. And so they're asking for you to bless their first enrollment. So all of these under this particular item that are discussing feasibility studies, you guys have already addressed the community, you've already addressed the resources, and you've already addressed the enrollment numbers. So you will see when they advance to the next slide that the motion is different. So board moderator, if you could advance to the next slide. On this, you will see that you are granting initial approval if you do approve it, and that you are approving it at the previously approved enrollment pattern from the feasibility study. Right, so that's already the stuff that you guys have recommended, and they have made their hiring, their space, everything needs based on that. There is a bolded section on this motion that does say that the committee can change the recommended enrollment number, pattern, and frequency here if you guys choose to, or address a new enrollment request from the school by changing the above enrollment pattern as needed. However, if that is not done, the above motion is what was put forth by you guys previously, and they're just going to open and begin enrollment following what you guys have already decided.
Thank you, Lori. I read this and felt like it was kind of deja vu again, and I couldn't remember exactly the sequencing. So thank you very much for giving that context.
No problem. So I just want to make sure now that we'll turn this over to Mary Ann. She will go through her report on this, but enrollments and moving forward has already been decided. You guys are just saying whether or not they can open.
Thank you, Lori. And these three programs under this section are 5.4s, so 5.4.1, 5.4.2, and 4.3. Okay, so back to Pepperdine. Pepperdine received approval from the board for their feasibility study in November of 2024. They're here today for approval of their initial self-study. They originally requested approval to enroll a total of 122 students annually, and the board in their feasibility approval did a slight decrease in the annual enrollment from 120 to 112 students per year, which is 80 BSN and 32 ELM students annually. As Lori said, we already looked at growth, but we do still have the growth data on there in Region 5 and Region 8 because they're in the Central Coast and Los Angeles, and that's on page 118. And they wrote an executive summary like everyone does, and that starts on page 120. Reps are here to answer any questions you may have.
Can we hear from the reps or the school?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Angel Costin, the founding dean of Pepperdine University, and I'm here with my colleague, Dean Michael Feltner, and a host of colleagues. And we just want to say thank you so much to Katie Doherty for her support and guidance. And we thank you all for reviewing all of our documentation from our self-study. And we look forward to hearing your feedback and questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Don't either.
Yeah.
All right, then I would like to make a motion to recommend granting initial approval of a new pre-licensure nursing program, Pepperdine University Baccalaureate degree and entry-level master's degree nursing program at their previous approved enrollment pattern from the feasibility study of 60 feasibility study of 80 new students every fall, which would be 64 BSN and 16 ELM, and 32, which would be 16 BSN and 16 ELM every spring for a total of total annual enrollment of 112 students. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee member Tricia. I'm sorry. Do I hear somebody? Okay. A BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comment. I would like to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Committee member Tricia Wynn?
And yes.
Motion carries.
Agenda item 5.4.2, discussion and action regarding a request to grant initial approval of a new pre-licensure nursing program. This is St. Mary's College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program. Their information can be found in the packet on page 125. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the presenters on the list for St. Mary's. St. Mary's also brought a feasibility study to the board and was approved in November of 2024. They're here today for their initial approval of their self-study so they can start moving forward enrolling students. Their enrollment request is 50 students twice a year for an annual enrollment of 100 students. We also still provided regional growth data from Region 3, which is the San Francisco Bay Area, which is on 128. And each program writes an executive summary in the materials, and this starts on page 129. The program is here. Should you have any further questions?
Just a reminder, they've met all rules and regulations of the board, and they're just asking to be granted the approval to open.
Would the school talk on their behalf, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stanley. I am the founding director for this new program. Sorry, I'm having issues with my camera. I'm here with our provost, Dr. Carol Gibbons, and the rest of my team. I definitely want to thank Kimberly Knight for all the work she's done for helping us get our documents completed, as well as completing our accreditation visit, preliminary accreditation visit. And we're here for any questions or to seek if you have any more information you need from us. Thank you.
And just a reminder to the committee, if everything is covered in the agenda item summary and everything is covered in the data as well as presented by the supervising nursing education consultant, you do not need to ask questions of the program, but you absolutely can. So very similar to what this person just stated, they're here for questions. We don't usually have them prepped for a presentation. They are typically prepped and brought in by their nursing education consultant saying, be ready for questions if the committee has them. And so by going out to them and asking them every time they've had something to present, they're not typically prepared for that but they are prepared to ask specific questions from the committee if what you have in the materials needs clarification or if you need further information.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions on this. I'm prepared to support.
Yeah, I don't have any either.
I'd like to go to a motion, recommend granting initial approval of new pre-licensure nursing program, St. Mary's College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program at their previous approved enrollment pattern for their feasibility study of 50 students twice a year, beginning fall 2025, and for any annual enrollment, for an annual enrollment of 100 students. Do I have a second?
I will second. This is Dolores Trujillo.
Thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Committee member Tricia Nguyen?
Nguyen, yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Agenda item 5.4.3. Discussion and possible action regarding a request to grant initial approval of a new pre-licensure nursing program for Westcliff University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program and Entry-Level Master's Degree Nursing Program. The information for this program can be found starting on page 134. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the list of presenters for Westcliff. So Westcliff had a feasibility study accepted and approved by the board in August of 2023 in Corona, California. Their enrollment pattern, their initial request was for 80 students per year in the BSN and 80 students per year in the ELM for an annual enrollment of 160. So just to bring to your attention, since the feasibility approval, Westcliff has changed its enrollment request So now they're currently requesting 40 students 3 times a year for the BSN for 120, and then 20 students twice a year for the entry-level masters, which is 40 students, which brings them to the same annual enrollment of 160. So they're not requesting an increase of students, but they are asking to change their pattern from the feasibility time to this time. They are in Region 7, which is the Inland Empire. Information on that area is on page 137. And of course, they wrote an executive summary to submit to the materials, and that is on page 138. They are here to answer questions. Sorry, Lori, go ahead.
Sorry, I totally should have waited for you to finish that. Just for clarification, they're not asking for an increase in number of students. What they're asking is just to kind of realign it to have more BSN and less entry-level masters. The thing to remember as the committee is the clinical requirements and theory requirements are identical no matter what the degree requirement is. So by decreasing or increasing whatever degree enrollment they want to, will have a neutral effect on the clinical placements and faculty load requirements. So just so you guys are completely aware of that. So when you do consider this motion, if you want to keep it at the original approved feasibility, that is that top paragraph. If you do want to change it, when you get down after the entry-level master's degree nursing program, you would then approve the enrollment that is listed at the very bottom that they are requesting to change to, understanding that it's a neutral effect to the community and the resources as they're keeping the same enrollment number.
Thank you for that, Lori. As I read this item, that was the only concern that I had, is that it might affect clinical placements. I'm now reassured that since it's neutral, I'm not going to have concerns with it. I appreciate your taking the time to, let us know.
Any further questions for the committee members?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion to recommend granting initial approval of new pre-licensure nursing program, Westcliff University Baccalaureate degree and entry-level master's degree nursing program at
So you're going to go down then to the 40 students if you want yeah.
to the 40 students 3 times a year for a BSN program yielding 120 students annually and 20 students twice a year for an ELM program yielding 40 students annually for a total of 160 students for both programs. Do I have a second?
So I'll second that. Win.
Tricia Nguyen, thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I would like to, Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
And committee member Tricia Nguyen?
And yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Moving to 5.5, which includes 5.5.1, discussion and possible action regarding a request for a new campus location with an enrollment increase for an approved pre-licensure nursing program. This is Samuel Merritt University, entry-level master's and baccalaureate degree nursing program. Their request today is to is for the committee to reconsider and change the February 2025 board action for denial and change it to deferment instead. Information on this program can be found on page 144 of the packet. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the members on the list from Samuel Merritt. So Samuel Merritt is requesting that the February 2025 board decision to deny the enrollment increase for Sacramento campus be changed to a deferment for them to submit additional information to modify their initial request. Samuel Merritt would like to present a proposal to use clinical facilities in Region 4, Northern San Joaquin Valley, while maintaining didactic and in-person student experiences at the Sacramento campus. Each program writes an executive summary. They have provided a letter that they wrote regarding this, and this starts on page 147. And the representatives are here to answer your questions. Thank you.
And I'll jump in really quick, just because this is a different sort of request than you guys have seen in the past. So typically a program comes forward and you can see historically what our committee has done is deferred taking action on their request to allow them to look for another area. What happened at the last committee meeting and then into the board meeting is the motion was made to deny the request, which is not typically the process that we do. And I failed to catch that and redirect at the time of the meeting. And so Stephen Rush definitely reached out to me after that and said, hey, can we get the same treatment as everybody else? And can we get deferred to allow for us to look for different locations? So what we're asking in this motion is just to recommend changing the February board meeting, not to approve them for a new location. This is just to say, yes, you don't have to start at page 1 and do the letter of intent and do everything over again. We're willing just to defer the action to allow you, the same as the other academic institutions that have gone before, to look for a different site. When you guys have that information, please come back and we'll consider that new location as part of this same request when it's presented.
Thank you, Lori. I'm open to defer taking action.
I am
Are you
too.
making the motion?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, motion. Recommend accepting the request for reconsideration and defer taking action on the request for an enrollment increase for approved pre-licensure nursing program, Samuel Merritt University entry-level master's and baccalaureate degree nursing program, Sacramento campus, to allow the program to consider other options for future board approval considerations.
Jovita Dominguez seconds.
All right.
BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give reminders as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Tanya Altman would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Hearing me. Nothing against Samuel Merritt, but my concern with this request is they're requesting deferment with the same location but different clinical area. And so it's unlike other requests where they are looking for a new location. In the 10 years I've been the department chair for Sacramento State, I have witnessed schools that have asked for increases and said they will do clinicals in another region and then have come in and done the clinicals in Sacramento where we are impacted and the reason for the deferment in the first place or the denial. And my concern is there's no oversight by the board that if they say they will do clinical in Region 4, but teach in Region 1, that they will in fact do that. Thank you.
I can address some of that. There have been a move recently within nursing programs where they are assigned and approved at a campus in one location and they are doing clinicals in another location. Dolores, I'm sure you'll remember a motion that you made where it said as long as the contract continues, as soon as that contract with that facility ends, then this enrollment increase goes back to the original number. So this is not a new request, it's just an uncommon request, but that uncommon request that we're seeing is actually starting to be more and more. I've even had a school in Riverside reach out to see if that's something that we would consider where they can do alternative sites. When we're looking towards some of the the more rural locations. I've been in meetings recently with the eastern coast, not coast, but the eastern border of California, where they're stating that they don't have nursing programs, they don't have nursing students, and the clinical placements, the facilities in that area are requesting them. And the only schools that are kind of interested in doing that are the Nevada schools. Well, Nevada schools under our current law cannot come in and do clinicals in California. And so what we are seeing is the California approved programs are heeding that, they're hearing that, and they're starting to look to see how they can get clinicals and students into the rural areas that are needing these students. They are needing the influx of nursing students into that area so that hopefully they will work there. But they may not have the resources to set up a brand new campus in that location. So that infrastructure is already starting to be kind of looked at and discussed and planned by the various schools to see what they can do to help more of these rural locations. We do have an ability soon to be able to track a lot of the clinical placements. And so we will be releasing what's called the Clinical Facility Approval, or the CFA data bank. The tentative release date is scheduled for May 1st. With that data bank, all of our clinical approvals go into an electronic data bank that we're able to pull reports from. And so what we will be able to do is I will then be able to pull a report from Samuel Merritt. They will show me where their clinical sites are. They will show me what students, not specific names, but numbers, and how many students are at what clinical facilities. And so we will have an ability to verify that those clinicals are occurring in the areas that they say they are occurring. If we receive a complaint from a program director outside of Samuel Merritt or any other location that says, hey, you know, they said they were going to be using it in this location, but we're feeling the effects here in our location. Board, can you look into it? We will now be able to look into that. We will be able to pull that documentation, we'll look into it, and we could then bring them in front of the board. The board could put them in a non-compliance for misrepresentation to the board. They could even remove program approval on that. And so that is pretty extreme, but I do want to make sure that people are aware that the board does have authority in its current form to do that. And that is listed in 14. I'm just trying to pull it up here really quick so I can pull that up for you guys. And that is 1420. It's loading. Sorry. 1423. And 1423 says, B, knowingly concealing a material fact required to be submitted to the board or knowingly misrepresenting a material fact submitted to the board is cause for denial of an application or revocation of an approved nursing program's approval. So if the board in the future does approve these kind of alternative academic settings to try to be able to answer the call to the rural areas where they approve it in a location that they're doing a hybrid theory where they're doing online classes and they either contract with a facility or contract with kind of a some sort of clinical area that is hundreds of miles away from them within California. If they say they're going to do it, we trust that they're going to do that. We grant approval based on that, and we receive a complaint or pull the data from our new data bank that says otherwise. we do have an ability to bring them back in front of the board, and the board could at that point remove overall program approval up into that point. So just to give the public some ability to understand that we do currently have that ability to hold them accountable to what they're saying that they're going to do, and an ability to pull reports starting May 1st to vet that information to be able to accurately determine if that's occurring or not.
Nancy James. Sorry,
sorry.
Nancy James. Nancy James would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Nancy, go ahead.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Lori, thank you so much for that information. I was not aware of that, and that helps immensely. So I appreciate you sharing that. My name is Dr. Nancy James. I'm the Dean of Nursing and Allied Health at Sierra College, and I was at the last meeting last month voicing my concerns for increasing enrollment and the impact it would have on the current nursing programs in the greater Sacramento area. If I understand this correctly, this is now being changed from denial to deferment, in which case Samuel Merritt can come back and we will meet again and we will all get together. Okay, good enough. I just want to state my agreement with Tanya Altman, my colleague too. In addition to the clinical sites for the impaction for this, I also want to remind everyone that it will also impact nursing faculty and our inability to get enough nursing faculty for all the nursing programs. So I just wanted to voice that, but I will come back when it's back on the agenda. So thank you for your time.
Yes, please do. That's the thing, is depending on how they set it up, if they set it up where it's hybrid and they're doing kind of like remote classroom, depending on how they set that up, it may not require a new faculty from your specific location where their ground campus is. If they're doing clinicals hundreds of miles away, and I have no idea because they haven't presented this information to us yet, the hope is that those faculty are then acquired 100 miles away, typically with the facilities that they contract with. And so that when it's brought back in front of the board, those are some of the things that they would ask and try to seek clarification on, because if the impaction is with faculty and clinical facilities in the Sacramento Region 1 area, then in order to get that approval, it has to show that it's not going to have that effect in that Sacramento Region 1 area. You want to have that effect in another area that can support that. And so Samuel Merritt and or any other school that comes forward in the future would have to be able to prove that that impact is not going to be felt by the area that they have their campus in if they were deferred because of that impact to resources in that current location.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests or comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. President Trujillo?
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
And a committee member, Tricia Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Agenda item 5.6, which includes 5.6.1. This is discussion and possible action regarding a request to accept a feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program. This is Arizona College Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program. Information on this program can be found on page 149 of the packet. And board moderator, if you would please elevate the presenters on the list for Arizona. Arizona College of Nursing has submitted a feasibility study for an approval to offer a new baccalaureate nursing program at an alternate site in Rancho Cordova. They do have another program in California, and so they wanted to go through the full, well, they'd have to go through feasibility anyway, but through the full to have a separate program So that's where they're here today for their feasibility. Their enrollment and request is for 48 students 3 times a year, for a total enrollment of 144 students. This growth is going to be in Region 1, which we were just talking about, the Sacramento area. And that data that we provide for you guys is on page 151. Each program writes an executive summary submitted in the materials, and Arizona has submitted theirs, and it starts on page 152. Program representatives are here to answer any questions should you have them. Thank you.
Committee members, any concerns or questions?
Yes.
I would like to hear from public, from the,
In a way, I kind of feel like for all the reasons stated, the last several ELC meetings, this is just the wrong place to start up a new program. And I'm surprised to see this item on the agenda. Everybody gets to put their agendas on, items on the agenda, but I mean, for all the reasons we've discussed for months and months and months, Sacramento is not a good place to start a new program.
Yeah, I know, I feel it. So President Trujillo suggested that we go to public comment. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment on 5.6.1, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Nancy James would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Thank you so much. And I couldn't agree more. I'm deeply concerned that colleges, universities, nursing programs continue to inundate Sacramento area with requests for starting a new program. As I previously mentioned, we're full. We have tons of nursing programs, clinical opportunities, and to add additional nursing programs into the mix, even with their claims that we won't affect your clinical sites, we won't be in the hospital setting. We know that they will be, and it takes a really good education to provide multiple opportunities, not just in acute care in the clinical sites, but also other opportunities that make the full student. And I'm deeply concerned that, again, this will have a huge impact upon the current nursing programs, and it will also affect our ability to hire additional nursing faculty. We are struggling right now to maintain our nursing faculty, and with this, the adding more nursing programs into the mix will only deter from that. So it is my suggestion that the feasibility study not be accepted, because the additional nursing programs will only negatively impact what is currently here, and continuing with this should not be allowed. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Tanya Altman would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Thank you so much. My letter of objection is in the supplemental materials, and I did talk with someone from Arizona College and voice my objection directly to them. They said a survey was going out about the clinical placements, which I did not get, but some random faculty of mine did get it who has nothing to do with placements, which concerned me that they knew who I was and they still didn't send me the questionnaire, so they were trying to skew the data. But I'd love to give an example of how impacted we are. Last month, we had regional planning for psych mental health, and we invited one school, it was an Arizona College, that was trying to come into the Sacramento area. and they said they had a contract with one of the mental health facilities. When we finished regional planning, it was available to that agent, to that one agency, had one available spot on a Tuesday evening in the summer for less than 10 students. And we asked that college and said, is that going to fill your need if you come to Sacramento? And the answer was no. We're going to go elsewhere. We're not going to look for Sacramento. We are that impacted. And I think that is a really good demonstration of how we sit together as a community and negotiate. And the negotiation was, are you going to use this Tuesday on this day? If not, can I have it this day? And we looked at historical placements, and literally in an entire year, there was one Tuesday evening in summer available at that psych mental health facility. So that's an impact that we also have to consider when people are leaving our profession. Nurses are leaving early in their career. If they are getting so inundated and they have students 24/7, it is an impact, in addition to what Nancy has said, on our clinical nurses who are taking the students, doing the workload, and constantly bombarded. And it's not safe for those staff nurses. So I think we need to look at the big picture. I strongly urge the board to deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Karen Griffith would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Griffith. I'm the Deputy Director of Children and Family Services for Sacramento Employment and Training Agency, also known as SETA. SETA provides care to 4,000 children in Sacramento with Head Start and state funding. These are services to toddlers, preschoolers, and we're provided in over 200 classrooms across Sacramento and a home-based program that serves infants and prenatal participants. In addition to education services, our program does provide comprehensive health screenings, care plans, health education to families, and these efforts are made possible with our own staff as well as many community partners. SETA currently partners with many multiple nursing programs in the area that go to our program to perform heights, weights, blood pressures, vision, hearing screenings, along with health trainings. And we are very happy and supportive of those current partnerships, some that are on the call today. While we support Arizona College of Nursing students to join that collaborative as it increases access to our families and children, I also want to completely acknowledge that we are not subject to the inner workings and impacts of the Sacramento nursing programs. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Angela Strawn would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Angela, on your screen behind probably one of your open windows is a small box that says unmute me. And we'll come back to Angela. Dr. Heather Brown would like to make a comment. 1 second, please.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Heather Brown. I'm the Dean and Chief Academic Officer of the California North State University Undergraduate College of Health Sciences. And I'm asking that the recommendation of the ELC committee be to deny approval of the Arizona College feasibility study for the new BSN program in Rancho Cordova. I'm making this request echoing the other comments, and that is based on location, lack of notification to CNU by Arizona College, availability of faculty, and availability of clinical sites for rotations. California North State University launched its undergraduate campus in Rancho Cordova in 2015 with its Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences and post-baccalaureate program, focusing on education for pre-med, pre-dent, and pre-pharm students. The CNU nursing program, recently approved by the BRN, has been in development for over 3 years and envisioned for over a decade. The university has set aside $8 million in startup funds, and over the $4 million was recently invested into our state-of-the-art simulation center. and was recently launched and celebrated with a grand opening, including invitations to the regional community. The new nursing program location proposed by Arizona College is quite literally next door to our undergraduate campus and newly launched BS nursing program. As clinical placements are always a challenge, collegiality among programs is essential. And to date, we have not received the notifications referenced by Arizona College in their AIS and executive summary as due diligence. We asked our university IT team to search the full university email system, and the results returned 0 contacts from Arizona College regarding this new program proposal next door to our existing undergraduate campus. In addition to the challenges with clinical placements, faculty hiring to meet programmatic need is also a challenge for regional nursing programs. The Arizona program is proposing an annual cohort of 144 students. That means a capacity 288 students for teaching but clinical placement annually on top of existing regional nursing program placements. And we're concerned with the impact on all existing programs. So for these reasons, we ask you to please vote to deny the feasibility study of Arizona College. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to try Angela Strawn again. Angela, there you go.
You hear me now?
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Dr. Angela Strawn, Department Chair of Nursing at California North State University's College of Health Sciences and Director of our BSN program. I am asking that the recommendation of the Education Licensing Committee be to deny the feasibility study of Arizona College, a new BSN program proposed for Rancho Cordova, and making this request on the basis of both location and availability of clinical rotations. Imagine my shock last week when I accessed the agenda materials for this item 5.6.1 and was dismayed to learn that the location of the proposed program is literally next door. Their address of 2882 Prospect Park Drive, Rancho Cordova, is located right next to our building at 2910 Prospect Park Drive. CNU received board approval of this program in May of 2024, and since then, students have been enrolled, and we have invested over $4 million in our state-of-the-art simulation center, additional student classrooms, and other support services to add to our existing campus facilities for our pre-medicine, pre-dental, pre-pharmacy, and psychology programs. To allow a competitor to be right next door would be to undermine the investments already placed in our program. Regarding clinical placements, the AIS states that Arizona College's planning included a survey to 15 neighboring pre-licensure programs on January 29, 2025. What could be more neighboring than to be right next door, but we did not receive any such communication. The AIS states that a follow-up survey was sent via email to non-responders on February 26, 2025. Also, no such communication was received. As stated by Dean Brown, our IT department has searched all of our servers for these dates and found no communications at all from Arizona College. I also obtained affiliation agreements and clinical verification forms as required for a new program, but I realize that this is going to be a challenge as we go forward. I am planning to work very collegially with my colleagues, but the landscape here is tight. Adding an additional 144 students annually, which over 2 years before they graduate will accrue to 288 students over 2 years for a new program, will severely negatively impact all existing programs. I know you have heard this already, not just today, but from prior ELC and prior board meetings. With this in mind, I ask you to please deny the feasibility study for Arizona College location in Rancho Cordova. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in our Sacramento location. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Before we move on to additional conversation, I know that Carol Velis is the
consultant.
Thank you. Marianne, it's been a long day. is the consultant for this program, and I've received several contacts from her just recently. She's having a difficult time getting on and access. We do have her elevated twice, and she is going to also potentially call in. So I want to make sure that she is able to get access and be able to participate in the conversation. Carol Velez, can you check either of the
Looks like she's on, but let's
ones
see.
that are on and see if we can see or hear you?
We do see her.
There,
Let's see if we can hear you, Carol.
she's on one. We can see the
Can't
picture
hear
on
you.
one.
We can see you, we can't hear you. But it does show the one that we can see you is muted. So if there's a way to unmute that. It's still showing that you're muted. And so on the screen that we see is a microphone that's red, and it's showing that it's muted. If you're on a CPU, it may not have a microphone attached to it, and so you may not be able to use that. If you have a laptop, they typically have a microphone. If you're able to connect by your phone through a WebEx app or pull up the agenda on your phone and then access that way, your phone would have a microphone. But we're willing to troubleshoot this with you. Yeah, we still can't. I know you're saying you appreciate it because I can read your lips, but I'm not hearing you, just so that you know.
Well, while we're working with her, I see Debbie Long's on.
Yes,
And
if you guys,
she's part of the program. And let's see, do I see Jason? Jason's on.
Yes.
Wanda, any of you guys want to speak while we're trying to get Carol?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is Dr. Debbie Long. I'll get started. I know Carol has a lot more in-depth information regarding these surveys that have been addressed. And I do know Carol did extreme due diligence. She had a lot of difficulty getting some of the contact information, and I'll let her address that because I really would like for her to go more in depth around it. But to everyone that she could obtain addresses on, those surveys went out. I know she hit a lot of roadblocks on trying to get into the consortium to have discussions. And around that, it was she tried to get in and then she was blocked because we weren't an active program yet. And so those definitely were attempted. It was not intentional to leave anyone off because she tried desperately to get those out to each of the individuals who they needed to go out to. Sometimes it would be that no one contacted her back with the accurate address. But again, I want her to share that with you if she can get on here. I do want to address two things that have come up also. And I would like to start by saying you all referred to our Ontario campus. And we hit, when we were going up for approval of the Ontario campus, we heard identical worry and concerns. And we're 3 years into that program. We've been excellent neighbors to all of the programs around us. We have not displaced anyone. We have brought faculty in from other areas. One of the things that we have the joy of is having hundreds of faculty across the US. And many times, in fact, I would say the majority of times when we open a new campus, we have many of the faculty at our other campuses that want to relocate. They're excited about a new program and they move into the area quite often. So we are very, I believe if you contacted our neighbors down in Ontario, they would tell you that we are very good neighbors, both clinically and academically, and we really augment the area by putting great nurses out there. In fact, we get to boast 100% pass rate for last year, as you can see out on the website at the California Board of Nursing. So just to address that, we did hear some of the same concerns coming in that we were going to displace or take faculty, and we truly did none of that. We've given so much opportunity to students in the area and opportunity for faculty that want to teach. And one of the things we do is we have a really rich mentoring program, and we are able to take nurse practitioners in the area that want to become faculty and mentor them into the role. So those are some of the ways that we avoid impaction with faculty. And as far as our clinical sites, I can let two other people speak to this that are on with me today. Our clinical development specialist, Wanda Huff, and then also Carol, because she's been very active in this area. We make sure that we are not displacing people. And
excuse me, Dr. Long, could I just ask you to speak? I mean, I don't think anybody has any ill feelings about you as an institution. I think everything you've heard today is you are trying to locate a new program in a region where we have repeatedly said there's no more room.
Okay.
And now you're coming to us with a program where we've just deferred two other programs.
Can you
So
hear me now?
it's hard to imagine something that you might say to us that would allow you to catapult or, hop over those waiting in lines into a region that is highly impacted.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can, Carol.
Oh, can I take over then, please? Because I'd like to address exactly what she's asking. Are you getting a looping? I apologize if you are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what to touch because I'm
That's
afraid
okay.
I'm
We'll-
lose you again.
It's good enough. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, God, my thanks for just putting up with this. I'm so sorry about this. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to answer your questions. I would also like to thank Michelle Johnson and Mary Jane Rosenblatt for their guidance during our feasibility study. And my team has already been introduced. So there's no question about the fact that there's clinical impaction, but one thing I would really like the ELC and board to keep in mind is that, and according to the guidelines for new programs, this is a 2-year process. So any decision that's made today about clinical impaction is not going to impact any programs currently. We are not coming into this area for 2 years. And that's mainly because the guidelines that we're following. The other thing I want to make sure everyone is aware of is that according to the Public Health Department in their most recent report, there is a projected population growth in this area. And with that population growth, of course, we need to have more healthcare services. I know that there are 4 major hospitals, including Dignity Health, Sutter Health, Kaiser, and UC Davis, that are expanding their footprints in the area to accommodate this enrollment growth or this population growth. Those expansion of footprints will probably be finished, and I'm talking about building new facilities and extending acute care hospitals, and other resources like medical buildings and clinics and ambulatory care centers. Those will probably all be finished by the time that our program is built and ready to start teaching, which is March 2027. So again, I understand what you're saying about clinical impaction, but again, none of this is going to impact any of the schools that are here opposing the program at this point in time.
So I'm going to jump
Did
in
you
and
get
provide
any of
some
that?
additional. We did. We got all of that, Carol. Thank
Okay.
you.
There
I
were a
am
couple
gonna-
of other. I'm sorry,
Yep,
Lori.
Real quick, I'm going to address some of the stuff that you brought up to our committee members. The one thing that our committee members need to remember is that we cannot address any workforce need or data that was updated with our last sunset bill, where they had when that bill passed and became law, we are forbidden to even consider that with any kind of new campus or enrollment increase. The other thing to address is what occurred with the update to 1432 when the EDP IL1 was added through the Office of Administrative Law to update that process to include that for the new campus location. So not just a new program location. And what was stated in that is that it is aimed to be a 1-year process, not a 2-year process. that the first 6 months is directed at the feasibility study, which is where this program is. And the second 6 months is directed towards the self-study. So the other thing that was addressed with that is that with that first 6 months, that is the feasibility study. That is where the board or committee at this point determines whether or not the community can handle this, that the impact is what that impact is, what the resources are. And if the committee says yes, the only thing that has to occur, which is what you guys saw earlier in today's meeting, is that they met all rules and regulations, they're able to open. So you do not reconsider impact to the community when you are going into the opening of the program. That was something that was brought up in hearings and public comment on that bill, on that regulatory update when it was brought forward, because the schools said we might be investing millions of dollars and then get to the end and not know if what we invested was going to be feasible. So the process was altered to reflect that at the acceptance of the feasibility, which is what they're asking for today, that the school has the assurance that they should be able to open as long as all rules and regulations are met. And so that is what you guys would be approving or deferring or denying or whatever at this point. So just providing those two areas of clarification from what was shared. And then Carol, if you have more information that you want to share, you can continue.
Okay, thank you, Lori. The one thing that I was addressing was not workforce needs. I was addressing the fact that these 4 major hospital systems in their opening will create more clinicals for students. That's mainly what I was talking about, although obviously there will be jobs too. I wanted to also include that I spent a week in Sacramento with our regional director, Wanda. We were able to speak directly with representatives from all of these organizations, and I was very clear that we could not displace other programs. We obtained 26 facility verification forms in alternative areas. We stayed away from the big hospitals because we knew they were impacted. In my due diligence, I asked, first of all, to go to their consortium, which is what the board has always recommended. And I was told by Dr. Altman that schools that are not approved cannot attend those meetings. Next, my other alternative was to send the survey out. And in response to the letter of opposition from Dr. Altman, I called these schools, and the schools gave me names of people who I should address those letters to. So if she didn't get it, it's because her own school did not give me the correct person. So I apologize for that. The last thing that I want, or not the last thing, but another thing I wanted to talk to you about was that we have a partnership with Tenet Hospital. It's a 3 hospital healthcare system in Modesta, Manteca, and Turlock. And they have agreed to a partnership where we can enroll 12 to 15 of their employees that will be part of a cohort. Now, the last thing that I'm really kind of concerned about is that all of the regulation and the guidelines say it's my responsibility as the dean to ensure through due diligence that I have not displaced any clinicals. I did have a wonderful conversation with Dr. James from Sierra, who was very kind to me, and she did invite me to a directors and deans meeting. And after a couple of weeks, when I hadn't heard when the date was, I emailed her back, and she said that the committee of deans and directors voted that I should not attend because, again, I was not a approved program. So I guess my question to the board is this now. Where is it fair and just and equitable for program directors like myself and others to be able to ensure there's no displacement in the clinical sites that we find and get signed facility verification forms from when we cannot get in to talk to any program directors? how can we go about doing our due diligence? Because as a dean myself, I would have appreciated the extent of which I went to try to reach other people. And I was blocked at every opportunity. So I would just ask the board that they would consider how they're going to move forward with new programs and expansions and enrollment increases when you can't get anyone to talk to you about where your clinicals are to see if they're anywhere near other clinicals. Of the 26 faculty verification forms, 13 of them had no programs. And you can see this going into our feasibility study under Appendix R, which includes the 26 faculty verification forms. I know that Dr. Altman made a comment in her letter that said she had no idea where I got the information, and she questioned my verification process with SETA, which is a Head Start program. This program listed Sac State as having 1 to 6 students in their facility Monday through Thursdays from 8 to 4. I think it was in the fall. So I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I'd like to remind everyone that I was a nursing education consultant for this board for 6 years. I was also the liaison to the Education Licensing Committee. I know these regulations, and I just think that you're really missing out on a wonderful program by not even considering allowing this program to come into the Sacramento area. And
So
if you have
provide a
any questions
little bit
about faculty, I would love for Dr. Dunn to have an opportunity to explain what we do for faculty at our university.
So before we move on to Dr. Dunn, I'll address some of the issues that were raised by Dr. Vellis. So on the EDP IL1, there is a document in there called Facility Verification Form. On that facility verification form, the facility is required to give the program information on who they are contracted with to provide clinicals, what category of students they are, the number of students, the days and hours, what semesters and what units are used. Based on the information that they received from that clinical facility or proposed clinical facility, that program now has the information of the schools that they need to reach out to and collaborate with. And so that is where some of that information that is requested by the board comes from. Additionally, we have 2 robust kind of data areas on our website. On our website, we have an updated statewide nursing school enrollment data. And so they are asking for Region 1. You could click on that part, look at Region 1 and see what the board has done recently within Region 1. And within Region 1, they, in the since 2018 forward, I believe, the board has grown publicly 1,076 new nursing slots, as well as 994 private new nursing slots. So a 2,110 new students into this location specifically in the prior years. The additional area that a school could utilize, and the board does utilize, is accessing our BRN School Interactive Dashboard. On that BRN School Interactive Dashboard, that is built and fulfilled through the University of California, San Francisco's contract with us, where we do every year a school report, as well as every 2 years a workforce report. And on those tabs has information that talks about denial of clinical placements, clinical spaces lost and students impacted, reasons for clinical spaces being unavailable, alternatives and out of hospital clinical sites, et cetera, and the usages of that. And so all of that data is on there as well that can be accessed and utilized when trying to mitigate any of the clinical impaction information. Furthermore, attending our board meetings, attending our committee meetings, and looking to see what the committee has talked about related to prior requests that are coming on that are in alignment with the requests that you might be coming forward. And one of the presentations was given to our board in November of 2024 by HCI. And it shared that the areas of opportunity for associate degree nursing program growth. They focused on associate degree, but as we have talked about earlier in this meeting, there was discussion that clinical placements are the same no matter what degree, right? And so on that information presented by HCI in November to our board, it talked about where the surplus locations were located. It talked about where the shortage locations were located, and it talked about no shortage, low opportunity, and high opportunity for growth. Those maps are key when programs are looking at where they might want to start a new program, where it might be available for them to do that. And so I'm going to show how you can access that data. I'm going to screen share briefly just to help facilitate this process for any new people coming forward. And so I'm going to wait till it starts to share. Give me 1 second here. Are you guys able to see my screen? It looks like you are.
Lori,
And so
if you're doing that for my benefit, I've already seen all of that and know where all
No.
that data is.
Nope, it is not. It is not for your benefit, but it is for a benefit of our public as well as our board and committee members. And so in the November materials, the health workforce data, ADN opportunity map, you can see right here where it talks about registered nursing county level forecast, and it breaks it down. It shows blue is surplus. It shows the orange is shortage. Additionally, down here, it shows opportunity maps where the dark red is high opportunity and your grayed out areas show no shortage. So that is one of the data points that we use to mitigate this. Another data point just showing you guys how to access it is right here, going to BRN survey interactive data. This dashboard, if you're able to click over through the various tabs, that's the one I was talking about, and it does specifically address displacement by region. And you would be able to see what has occurred in that area as reported by each of our schools, to be able to take that into consideration. And the tabs that are really imperative that our board does review and that any potential school reviews as well are the tabs that talk about the denial of clinical placements, clinical spaces lost and students impacted, reasons for clinical spaces being unavailable, and any alternative sites. And then finally, the newest dashboard that has been added, which is our statewide nursing data. And you go down to region 1 and it shows all that we have done to address any of the areas of concern in this region. And the growth total right here, just for people when they're looking at where they may want to start a nursing program and hopefully not run into these issues at the committee meetings going forward. So at that point, I will stop sharing. BRN moderator, you can share again, and we'll open it up to our committee members to see if they have additional questions. I know that the program is asking for Jason Dunn or Dune to speak, and that is up to the committee if they want to allow for continued conversation.
Any committee members have questions? Are we still, we're not in public comment anymore, right?
Public comment has been closed,
Right.
but the
Thank you.
program has requested to speak, and that is where we're at now. And so this is where the committee would ask questions or make a motion or do whatever they decide to do at this point, understanding that a motion to affirmatively defer, deny, approve, or something does not have to happen today, you could defer it to the whole board for discussion. Those are always options.
Any committee members, any more concerns, questions?
I agree with Board Member Nguyen. This is an impacted area.
So if you allow me, maybe I'll make a motion. Do not recommend.
May I make one more comment, please?
Who's asking for the comment?
Carol Bellis.
Dr. Bellis.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
My comment would be, and I don't know if you really understood my intent of what I was talking about, but I believe I did the best I could with due diligence. But again, I don't think it's fair or equitable that there's no responsibility on these programs to meet with us, that we cannot get into the directors and deans meetings for clinical placement, and that we cannot attend these consortiums. So what would you like us to do as a committee and as members of the board to do due diligence any better than what I've tried? Because believe me, I spent months and months on all the reports that Lori just showed you, on the most recent information through the thought leaders in California and beyond, on new programs, on clinical placements, on faculty, on everything. This report was not written.
If you would allow me, you know, we have these charts that we rely on. So for your item, it's on page 151. And it tells you how many increases we've evaluated. So even without talking to consortiums, you can see how many new students we have permitted over the last several years, starting in 2019. But when we get to November, when we get to May of last year, we started saying we've approved too many students. We're going to defer decisions. And then in January of 2025, we did the same. And so the fact that you would want to put a new university in the middle of a region where the board has been very, very clear, we have too many students. I mean, that's kind of a starting point.
Thank you, Member Nguyen. I appreciate your comment. This is an area of almost 5 million people. So do we really have the ability to replace those nurses that are, well, it doesn't matter because you can't understand or accept workforce information. But, you know, I really don't have anything else to say. Thank you very much.
Ms. Bellis, I do work in that area. And it is becoming impacted. So at this point, I think we've had ample discussion, and I think we're ready for a motion.
Real quick, I know that Jovita was starting to read off the do not recommend acceptance. I'm asking again for consistency that if you are going to not recommend, that you actually go to deferring and deferring any action on this to recommend deferring action. Then if the board decides that, that they can then look for other areas. So understanding that this program has paid $40,000, has gone through this process, has spent a lot of time on this. What I don't want to do right here where the options are down, where it says if the feasibility study is not accepted, the board notice will include the basis for its decision, and applicants whose initial revised feasibility is not accepted, they must start over by submitting a letter of intent, right? So if you are looking at denying, I would ask you to please reconsider and look at if the action on the feasibility study is deferred, and that way their request still stands. They will continue to work to bring information forward. As Reza has said in the past, we cannot tell them specifically to look elsewhere. And if they do come across information that they can show that satisfies that none of their clinical placements or growth or whatever would impact the community in any negative way, they do have the ability to request to come back in front of the committee or board for consideration for the same location. It is up to them to continue to provide the information and bring that data forward for the board to make that decision, determination on. So again, Jovita, instead of doing recommend or do not recommend, if you're going towards the do not recommend, I will request that we stay consistent and defer taking action on the request for acceptance of the feasibility study for a new pre-licensure program. You would stop at when it says baccalaureate degree nursing program. That would be a period. But you would say, I would defer taking action on the request for acceptance of the feasibility study. Unless you want me to do the motion, I can do that and you can say so moved.
Lori, are you speaking about the third bullet point?
The third bullet point is deferring, right? What that happens is when we have three options in front of us. You can accept the feasibility, they move forward, they come into compliance, they come back in front of us and they open. We cannot accept them, which is not consistent with what we've been doing. And especially as we had just the previous the board agenda was Samuel Merritt said, please don't deny us, let's defer this. So they requested that. So again, if we do the not accepted, that is a motion you guys can make, but that is not consistent with what has been occurring. So my prediction would be that they would come back just like Samuel Merritt and say, I want to appeal that. Can we get a deferral? Because that is a huge process to have to restart. What is typically done at this point that has been done previously in the committees as well as the board is the request that's in front of you guys just defer taking action on, which then allows the program to continue to work to bring forth new information to the board that could either get them approved in Sacramento area, Region 1, or they look for a different area to bring back in front of the board to say, will this suffice for our resources for clinicals, faculty, etc. So the reason I brought that up is when Jovita was starting the motion and I interrupt, she said, I want to make the motion where we do not recommend acceptance. And I was like, wait, let's address that and potentially have you guys consider not taking action on this request, which will allow them to come back.
Lori, may we ask you to state the motion, please?
I can.
Just
The
one more
possible.
thing. Hang on.
Go for it.
Trisha, what is the thought process on this motion?
I feel like we should be consistent. I feel like we should defer action. We should not accept this feasibility study, but we should defer action so that they can go and look at another site and not have to start the whole process over.
Okay, I'm in favor of that also. So go ahead, Lori. Sorry.
So the possible motion would be to defer taking action on the request for acceptance of the feasibility study for a new pre-licensure nursing program secondary campus in Rancho Cordova as requested by Arizona College of Nursing Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program to allow them to present new information to the board in a future time for consideration for approval or possible acceptance, sorry.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Since we've already gone to public comment, may we vote, Lori?
You can, or you could open up to public comment again if you wanted to hear any information on that. It's completely up to you guys, what you guys want to do at this point.
Committee members, what should we go to public?
I don't think we need additional public comment.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
in favor
all right.
of voting.
I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. President Trujillo,
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Committee Member Trisha Nguyen.
Trisha Nguyen votes yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Could I ask a quick question? With Lori making the motion, who's going to take ownership of the motion and the second?
I think it was
ownership
unanimous.
is-
I think it was President Trujillo that so
Yes, so-
moved it, and Trisha-
Forrest made the motion, Tricia seconded it. Lori didn't make the motion, to be perfectly clear. Lori
She stated.
specifically
My bad.
mentioned
I
a
mentioned
possible
so moved.
motion.
So Dolores
at
and
the board members'
Tricia?
request to kind of help just verbalize it.
Dolores and Trisha.
Dolores and Tricia.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And then
committee
real
members.
quick, before we adjourn, just so you guys know that when you guys adjourn, we will be at the end of the ELC committee. We will then open into EIIC, which is our Enforcement Investigations Intervention Committee. Trisha, you will remain on for that. Jovita and Dolores will drop off. You guys are welcome to stay as attendees, but you will not be panelists. The board members that will be joining us as part of EIIC will be Allison Cormack and David Lawler. There is an ask from our staff, as well as myself and Trisha, that we do go to lunch and we set a time for when we come back. We will go ahead and I'll let you, Jovita, adjourn. And then Trisha, I will let you announce whether or not we come back at 1 or 1:30 or what your plan is for when we start.
Real quick, Lori, as part of that, on that note, if just in that transition, is it the plan to put the WebEx up or to keep this WebEx up
This WebEx
during
will
that
stay
lunch
up.
break?
Yes,
So it'll have a
stay
slide saying that we'll start with EIIC at whatever time.
Yeah, they'll say that we're at lunch and we'll start with EIC at whatever time is determined when Trisha makes that. But I want Jovita to close us out here, and then we'll go to that part.
Okay, so item 6.0, adjournment.